Hello, and
are we not going to do our own version of the introduction?
No,
They're not going to hear it, but we'll do it. All right, come on.
They're not going to hear it. That's what you said last time, Joshua.
They didn't hear all of it. Okay, let's wait.
There was an idea
to bring together a group of remarkable films.
to see if they could become
Something more. So when the world needed them, they could build the universe.
that no one else ever could.
This is the Marvel Method.
No one else ever could. This is the Marvel Method.
How did I start?
Well, you started.
Yeah, but
You
got
opened your
back to
ma-
my
you-
lines.
You opened your... we might have swapped something in the middle. It's okay, we don't need to do it once. Hello, you're listening to the Marvel Method. This is Joshua.
And this is Joel, and we are finally here. And when I say finally here, I keep saying finally here. We're only in episode 3 of the Marvel Method.
Episode 3. It feels like we've been doing it a while, doesn't it? Feels like only yesterday that we were there doing
It does feel like only yesterday, Joshua. Maybe the fact it was only yesterday,
only yesterday.
that we filmed episode 2. And due to a mishap on mine, we finally get to watch the film that I've been really, really excited to
And
watch.
I'm not going to lie, I'm actually excited for this one. The more Joel's been hyping up about it, the more I'm like, actually, maybe it's actually pretty good. Maybe I'm going to have a good time with this.
I'm really, really excited. You haven't watched this film since the first time you watched this, is it? This is the second time you're watching this film.
Correct. This is exactly the second time, and the first time I watched it was a long time ago.
So, just as you've probably seen in the title, as we say every episode, I believe, today we are watching Captain America: The First Avenger. This Marvel film was filmed in 2011. As we spoke about on the last episode, we were talking about how Thor and Captain America were very much conjoined films. They were filmed in the same year, and they were filmed under the same premise with Paramount Pictures. And these were the last 2 films that Paramount Pictures distributed before Disney took over and decided that they were going to take over the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, in my personal opinion, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but in my personal opinion, I think is a fantastic thing.
Absolutely. I think that under Disney, Marvel has shown every sign of retaining its creative license. They've shown every sign of pushing the universe as they wanted, and Disney just seems to be a very good partnership.
Now, I know yesterday you spoke about Avengers Endgame, which was the thing. Today, let's have that little bit of a chat about something current. Maybe let's talk about the merger of Disney and Fox. So,
Okay.
we know that Fox has owned the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four for a very long period of time.
And they've held on to it through thick and thin, including making a bust of a film just to keep the rights.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four remake.
Yeah, the fact that I really hope we get to that point, because this might be the first Marvel film I haven't seen.
Which one?
The remake of Fantastic Four.
Oh god, I haven't seen it.
We might watch that for the first time on this podcast.
If we ever get to the point where we're asking viewers to pick films for us, and if we ever get to the point that Fantastic Four remake is being voted to the top of the list, I'm ending. We'll have a final goodbye. We'll claim that we're being shut down by Marvel. Sorry, folks, can't do this anymore. Off we trot.
But no, Fantastic Four. Oh, that would be an interesting episode. So Fox has owned Fantastic Four, and they've owned X-Men. Marvel have owned obviously Captain America, Iron Man, and the rest of the MCU. And soon, we're talking close to the beginning of next year, I would say, 2019, we are going to see a merger of Disney and Fox.
Yes. At first I was about to go, what? And then I realised that we've been hyped out about this for a while. Yeah, we are. It all comes together.
It's going to be really exciting. I think as a Marvel fan, as Marvel fans as we are, this is one of the best news you could have got. The only other better news we could have got is that Sony's joining in on the Disney hype train.
Even then, Sony has joined it. Not on the Disney hype train, but they've given us what we wanted. They gave us the Spider-Man that we wanted.
It's true. They haven't given us everything though. They haven't licensed all the Spider-Man characters.
I'm not a fussy guy. I will take it.
You'll take the
I will
Spider-Man
take
over
it.
anything else. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. I think, and again, I'm sure we'll play one of these episodes, and we would have seen our first Fox character in the MCU.
What Fox character would you most like to see in a crossover of which Marvel character?
So it's really difficult for me to say. Does Deadpool count?
Yeah, I'm going to say Deadpool.
Okay, so I think Deadpool's a really good one up there.
I'm going to say Deadpool and Spider-Man because the comics have done that beyond many. Deadpool and Spider-Man are like bros.
I'd really like to see Deadpool just in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'd love to see Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think I'd just like to see Hank Pym and Bruce Banner and Tony Stark and Professor X. And Reed Richards.
Yes, I was about to say.
Just in the same room.
If I remember correctly, canonically, Reed Richards is the smartest man in the universe.
Yes.
So that would be pretty.
I think the Fantastic Four, and if we ever get past the MCU and we start doing other films and we do watch the original Fantastic Four films, you will see my love for those films because I really love both of them. I think they're both fantastic films, no pun intended, and I really, really like the Fantastic Four. I think they are my favourite Marvel characters, I think. I'm not entirely sure.
Wow. We can only hope and see, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say though, if I had to twin two characters together, it would have... I mean, I was about to say Wolverine and Deadpool, but they're both in the same universe.
They are at the moment in the same universe.
I would want to see... Actually, I'd want to see Professor X and Tony Stark. Magneto and Tony Stark, boys.
Ooh.
Fight me. You're more made of metal. But is he? This is when we get to see the ceramic Iron Man. So...
Joshua, where are we up to at the moment? In the MCU?
In the MCU. Well, do you remember when I said that Thor was meant to be a film-to-TV movie in 2000? Mm-hmm. Well, Captain America has a film starts life just about then.
Oh, really?
It starts life in its 1997.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I was young in 1997.
You were very young. I was very young. We were both not able to watch the film because of the film rating in 1997. Now, just to jump ahead, this film did pretty well. It wasn't of Iron Man's success, but Iron Man was a runaway success, and that partly was because it was the first one. It made anywhere between 1.7 to 2.4 times its original budget, which is perfectly healthy. Directed by Joe Johnston, fame of... Do you know a film he's done?
I don't actually.
Jumanji.
Really?
And he also has, as I guess all celebrities must at this point, an uncredited Death Star trooper in this Star Wars film.
Can you name 3 other people who have uncredited Star Wars troopers?
In the modern films?
In the modern any film.
I mean, the modern one's easy. Daniel Craig, William... What's his last name? I want to know him as Prince William. What's his last name? Diana... That's embarrassing.
That is really embarrassing.
We're British, right?
We're British, right? The royal family surname.
I mean, on Wikipedia it just calls him Prince William, Duke of Cambridge. Maybe he doesn't have a surname, that's just it.
He does. They definitely have a surname.
Full name, William Arthur Philip Louis. Louis?
No, it's not Louis. But
oh,
anyway.
House of
Windsor. They're the Windsors.
Are they
They're the
I didn't know
Windsors.
they were. Anyway, okay. So Prince and so William and Harry.
That director, he was in. He was the art director on another film.
He's been in a lot of films.
Has he?
I mean, he's like these guys had a full movie career.
He was the art director on Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That is astonishing.
Yeah,
great stuff. So Joe Johnson, quality lad. So Disney, something very interesting happened to Disney. Oh man, I really must check out the date that this happened.
So 1 second. So
all right, so
Disney buys Marvel Entertainment, which contains Marvel Studios in them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep covering for me. I'm looking stuff up.
And then Marvel's basically told Paramount, right, you've got these 2 films, but after that, Disney are going to be our distributors. But what happened, Joshua?
What happened to what?
You said that something happened, didn't it?
Ah, you're covering for me. Yeah, you're doing a great thing. Oh man, boop. Give me the boop. Thank you. So something happened, and it happened in 2005. As Disney are looking around
Oh, 2005, so this is way before the merger.
Way before the merger.
Okay,
No.
go on then.
Films have been around since 1997. In 2005, something very good happened to Disney. They received funding to the tune of 525 skinzillion.
Skinzillion,
Yes.
wow.
And it was with Merrill Lynch to produce anywhere between 10 and 25 films.
Are these any films?
Well, it was superhero films, and a couple of names came up actually on the list. And basically, it was an interesting merger. It was totally financial. Disney would get the money they need to produce their own films with their own direction, with their own control, and Merrill Lynch would get money. And some of the names they declared they would produce, some you'd recognise. Black Panther.
No.
This is the ones they declared back in 2005 they were interested in producing. Deadpool.
Okay. But Disney never did Deadpool.
Ant-Man.
Okay.
Now here's the thing. If you told me back in the past, I'd be like, who the hell are these? But here's names I did not think they would come up. Iron Fist. They said they produced Iron Fist as a film. Morbius.
What's Morbius?
A vampire who bites villains. Longshot, some kind of extra-dimensional marksman. Power Pack. 4 kids given superpowers by a dying alien. And Mort, the dead teenager, who is a car crash victim who comes back to life. I feel like some of these were probably left along. But outside of that, they also did say they were very interested in Cap because of brand recognition. Now, 525 double dillions comes with a price. And that price was that as collateral, Merrill Lynch was given the right to a number of characters, 10 characters actually. Some of those characters that they were given the rights to, just imagine it, just picture this.
So Merrill Lynch.
So Merrill Lynch is a big bank.
Okay.
In America.
Okay.
They said, Disney, we will finance you with all these deals of 50-50 splits and whatever it is, but as collateral, we want characters.
Ownership of characters.
Characters. Astonishing. Even before any... Like, right now, what would the worth be of Iron Man? What would the worth be of, like, Captain America? What would the worth be of, like, of the Avengers?
Yeah, that is...
Like, right now, their worth would be... are in the billions.
Gazillions.
No, this one's billions. It's lower than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Back then, 525 millions. Amongst the 10 characters, they got Captain America, Nick Fury, and the Avengers.
Wow. As collateral. Because in 2005 they never thought they were going to be making a
Well, I'm sure they did, but let's put this way: Merrill Lynch got a great
Disney
deal.
didn't own these
Not at this point.
characters. So how could they give them
This
away?
was Marvel. This was with Marvel
Wow.
and Merrill Lynch.
Okay, so what happened? So
Marvel was keen on making their own films. Merrill Lynch gave them a 525 double millions to do so. They started making it. Along the way, Disney goes, "We've got our way," and that's when Disney hop in. So Disney is the big giant who's been waiting in the wings, arguably for a very, very long time, looking for something interesting. And to be honest, there hasn't been much out there. Marvel is the one that kicked superheroes into high gear. Disney grabbed Marvel. Disney then go, actually, we can make a pretty penny off Fox as well. That is where this all comes in. So in respect, it was Marvel's own success that brought them Disney to them.
So I'm assuming Disney bought the characters from the bank.
I don't know this. It might well be that the bank still owns... still has
How funny would that be? I wonder. I think we should look out and see if there's a special thanks to the bank.
At the end, I bet there would be. But let's have a look.
That's really funny.
So we come to 2010. Filming begins a few months after Thor.
After Thor. So Thor was filmed first.
Thor was filmed in January. Well, here's the thing. Filming can sometimes take, 100 days. Thor began in January. They began in the middle of the year. So it's very possible they might have overlapped, but it's only slightly possible.
Okay.
The music for this film actually got 2 of the 3 awards that the film eventually got.
Okay.
And Cap's theme is the first to reappear in other films. It reappears in Avengers, Thor 2, Cap 2, and Avengers 2.
Okay. That's interesting. Well, other than obviously franchise series of Iron Man 1 and 2, I'm sure that there was a theme that would have gone across them.
I think it says in other films.
Other franchise films.
Yeah, I think that's what it means. But of course they refer to Thor 2, Cap 2 there, so I don't know. Interesting. So that's what I've got to say before the film.
So, a couple of things from me. I think the first thing is that this is the first Captain America film.
Now,
in my honest opinion of looking at any franchise in the MCU that is apart from the Avengers. I consider the Captain America trilogy my favourite. I think of the three, this is the worst, but it's still, in my opinion, a great film. I may change my mind after watching it again, as I did to Thor yesterday. But realistically, for me, I really love this character. I think the character is very relatable. I do think that I just think it is a worthwhile character.
Alright, so, in my opinion, to be honest, the first film didn't sell me the first time I watched it. We will have to see if time has passed the test.
Okay.
So I gotta say, just researching this. So, spoilers. I didn't do my research for this. My research today consisted of me listening to the Captain America soundtrack at work or on repeat. So hopefully that'll be useful. But when I was reading up about this Merrill Lynching, I was getting sucked into it. This history of how a film studio comes to be is fascinating. I will probably take a much greater interest in this in future films.
So the two more things I want to talk about, one being the fact that this is a period piece.
Go on.
And I think it's Marvel's only period piece.
Period piece meaning?
Meaning that it is not from present day.
Okay.
This is, I think, Marvel's only period piece, apart from...
Ooh, is it going to be Mrs. Marvel? Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel. The film we haven't seen yet. It's the next.
I'm sure that's a character.
It's the next film in our current timeline. I want to say our timeline. There's a number of timelines, as we know, but in our current timeline to come out, and we will go and see that in February. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that is set in the 90s, which I think will be quite interesting.
Is the 90s even a period? Does it even count?
No, we are 2 decades out from the 90s. You remember in 2000 we were making 80s films? It's the same deal.
Well, they're still making 80s films now.
Yeah, that's 30 years ago.
Yikes.
We're old. So that's the first thing. I think that it's really important to know that this is a period piece. So does it live up to it? It's supposed to be between 1942 and 1945, I believe.
Second World War.
So it's slap bang in the middle of the Second World War. So it is really important that we look at it in that sense. The other thing I think we need to talk about are the two main characters. So we're looking at Chris Pratt. Apologies.
One of the Chris's.
One of the Chris's.
Just say Chris.
Chris.
You'll be right in about 50%.
So yesterday we had Chris Hemsworth, not Liam Hemsworth. And today we've got Chris Evans. Mm-hmm. Chris Evans, this is sixth superhero film.
At this point, or when this was filmed?
When this was filmed.
Oh, really?
This is his sixth.
Okay, so I remember he was the Human Torch.
So he was the Human Torch in Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four 2. He also was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a voice of Casey Jones. He was also in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
He was one of the bad guys.
Yeah,
wasn't
he was. He was one
he
of
the vegan?
No, the vegan was. I know his name. He was in Chuck as well.
Well, you keep going on to it.
So he was the skateboarder in.
Yes, he was
in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Got a high score.
He was also in a film called Push in 2009, and The Losers.
Yes, I actually saw there was a couple of good films. There's Telekinesis Fighting
and The Losers in 2010.
Do you remember the name of the character, by the way?
It was. Stop.
It's all right.
Jason Schwartzman was the big bad guy, and then.
So whilst Joel is looking for this, yeah.
So the other person in here, the other person we need to look at is Hayley Atwell. Hayley Atwell plays Peggy Carter. Brandon Routh was the vegan in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. So, looking at Peggy Carter.
Yeah. He was also
Hayley
in Superman? Brandon Routh was Superman.
Brandon Routh was, yeah, he's been in lots of things.
Damn.
He's been in a lot of things.
Scott Pilgrim really beat everyone.
Yeah, so Hayley Atwell plays Agent Carter. Now, she said that she wanted to play Peggy Carter as basically Captain America's equal, but just in high heels.
Sure.
So she was fighting. She did 6 days of training before the film began, and she worked really, really hard. Emily Blunt Emily Blunt is currently Mary Poppins. She turned down this role.
Well, fair enough.
She just.
I think she would have been good in it.
I agree. I think she would also have been very good in this film as well. But yeah, Haley Atwell took it, and then of course they made a TV series, 2-season TV series after this called Agent Carter, based on the character.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so this is now the second TV series that was based on a character.
Now, one of the things I remember reading that I was interested about was their decision to set it in America. They basically said, playing to American audiences is something film does all the time, but is literally setting it this going to hurt us? And Marvel basically said, I think we can ride it out. I think it'll be okay. I think it was. But I'm excited. Can we start watching?
Yeah, we can start watching.
Alright, let's do it.
Captain America, the First Avenger. Right, so this will be the last time we see the Paramount logo.
I do believe so.
Because, as we've been saying...
Paramount was then... They said goodbye to Disney and Disney started doing it themselves. Sorry, not Disney, Marvel. God, I'm getting it wrong.
Yeah.
So, we're about to hit the...
And we get the Marvel comic flip logo still. I wonder if they change it in the original Avengers.
Well, we're right now listening to Frozen Wasteland. And remember what I said in Thor, this village here is the same one that started there.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd really get to see it. I think it's just more one of the...
So this isn't... So actually, Joshua, and I'm sure you'll see this in a second, this is not the village. All we can see now is white lights.
This is... yeah. This is how long it's been... I forgot what actually happens. Now I remember.
So I think Joshua's going to spend a lot of time in this.
This sort of thing.
Watching the film, because I think, and I as I said, I'm really excited for him to see this again. I've watched this film recently, so I do remember this.
You the guys from Washington? You get many other visitors out here? How long you been on site? Since this morning. A Russian oil team called it in about 18 hours ago. How come nobody
That
saw
son.
it before? Really not that surprising. This landscape's changing all the time. You got any idea what this thing is exactly? I don't know. It's probably a weather balloon. I don't think so. You know, we don't have the equipment for a job like
Do you know who else was up for the role of Captain America?
No, go on.
Will Smith,
One hell of a break.
Channing Tatum,
Alright.
Sebastian Stan,
Don't know him.
Bucky,
Alright.
John Krasinski.
Don't know him.
I'm not sure how to describe John Krasinski. There's loads of names. The son of Sven Svenagard,
Oh.
Eric Selvig. Yeah.
Now, I like what they're doing with the sun here. I bet that was natural lighting. I bet they actually went they went somewhere northern where winter can sometimes be a day long to get that kind of sun through the blue. It adds to a really murky atmosphere. I really like it.
I can't believe it took this long for them to find him.
Well, it was lost without a trace. I mean, their reasoning at the start as well, the landscape changes all around here. Kind of true, kind of not true. What year is it?
As in what year this is?
Yeah.
2011.
So, the more realistic thing, instead of a Russian oil picking it up, it might have been satellites. If it was uncovered by satellites, they might have started seeing something going, hang on, what's that? Now, one of the things they said about this score was that it's a very different one from its predecessors. And I had to listen to the predecessor, and I think I agree.
As in predecessor film?
So, when we had the Iron Man, you had a very rock soundtrack. It was written by a rock guitarist. When you had Thor, there was quite a bit of like original music, original like orchestral stuff. Ooh, what's this?
They have found the most iconic thing of Captain America.
My God.
His face.
I don't care what time it is. This one's waited long enough.
That's a good line. This one's waited long enough. So Thor has orchestral thing. There, look, Tonsberg. Thor has orchestral, but also has some electronic, some symphonic, some this. This is an almost purely orchestral piece. It is stunning. It's reminiscent in places of, in my opinion, not Spielberg. Guy who works with Spielberg.
Oh, John Williams.
John Williams. It is actually it is a lovely piece. It's not overstated. It's not massively bombastic. It is very good for its thing, and I had a great time listening to it.
There are a number of things I want to talk about in this scene, and it's going to be very, very... I'm going to have to talk very, very quickly to cover them all. Dave Bradley is the person in front of you. Dave Bradley plays Argus Filch in Harry Potter.
I was going to say, he looks like him.
Yeah, he plays Argus Filch. He is quite a famous actor. He's also in Game of Thrones and lots of other things as well. Hugo Weaving is our big baddie in this film.
Yep.
Known as Red Skull. Actually, only said Red Skull twice in the entire film. The words Red Skull in the entire film. Head of Hydra. And in this scene, there's a couple of things that are really, really important. He's going to talk about gods. Now, when he talks about gods, who is he talking about?
Presumably Nordic?
No, he's talking about the Asgard. He's talking about Asgardians as a whole.
Nordic
the Nordic gods. Yes, absolutely, the Asgardians. You also see Yggdrasil, which
The World Tree?
the World Tree, which, as we saw yesterday, Thor drew out for. What's her name?
Natalie Portman?
Natalie Portman.
Jane?
Jane.
That tank, by the way, is far too... I like how the car's eyes are slits and not just round.
You are a man of great vision, and in this way we are much alike.
I am nothing like you.
No, of course, but what others see as superstition, you and I know to be a science.
What you seek is just a legend.
Then why make such an effort to conceal it?
Also, that tank is far too big. Oh well. Hail Hydra. Oh, blimey, that guy's strong. Is that the Tesseract? Or is it a fake?
The Tesseract was the jewel of Odin's treasure room.
Why is it not shining? There we go.
Something one buries. But
I was going to say, like, why would you keep it there?
yes.
I cannot help you. No.
But hang on, it says it's the jewel of Odin's treasure room. That implies the Asgardians had the Tesseract and sent it to Earth. That's a story.
That is an interesting story.
I have no need for them.
I'm not entirely sure of the story behind it, to be honest.
I'll have to look that one up. How did the Tesseract get to Earth?
Yggdrasil. Tree of
Ah, there you go.
guardian of wisdom.
When else has Hugo Weaving looked for a cube in a film?
When else? Yikes. Okay.
Your clue for this one is that it wasn't himself, but he voiced a character.
Oh, very good. We're talking Transformers when he voiced Megatron.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that light.
They do a really good job of framing that.
Making good use
When
of...
when it's behind his head and you see the blue coming out of it, I think that adds incredible framing on Marvel's part.
Look, it's good cinematic, good use of light. Camera work comes down to light, subject, composition, and idea. The best films, the best photos have all four. In films, it's kind of hard to get more than two at a time. Or three, light, subject, and composition. Idea is a much harder one, but that was one that had idea.
I already have.
Ooh. Now Hugo, notice the blood has
Settled on the octopus.
on the skull,
Ah.
signifying.
Steve, Henry,
Boy, a lot of guys getting killed over there.
Roger, Stephen.
Okay, so this is probably one of the biggest draws of the film. One of the biggest draws of the film is that Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans. Chris Evans is not short, and he is not thin.
They hired a company that specialized in CGI prosthetics to do it. They would sometimes film scenes 4 times. Once originally, once without him, once on his own in green screen, and then once with an actor or something like that, so they could shrink him down.
Mother, she was a nurse in a TV ward. Got hit.
He declined the role 3 times, as well.
And oh wow, that's a lot of...
Sorry, son. Look, just give me a chance.
Why did he decline it 3 times?
He declined it 3 times. He didn't want the fame that came with it. He saw what happened to Iron Man. He just didn't want the fame with it.
And then he took it.
Robert Downey Jr. convinced him to take it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we've gone past Schmidt's Treasure. I think it was an okay thing. I think there's better ones coming up.
Even little Timmy is doing his part. Collecting scrap.
Very 1940s.
Nice work, Timmy.
Who cares? Did a movie already.
Now, this is accurate. They used to play film reels before movies. And in fact, they wouldn't start films on a schedule. You would just turn up, you would see what's playing, and they would just keep looping. My grandparents occasionally said that they would come in the middle of a film, watch the end of it, watch the adverts, watch the start of it, and watch it again.
Now, this scene
Pretty iconic.
is really, really amazing. So first things first,
He's holding on the shield.
he's holding a garbage lid, or basically a shield. And then the line he says now
You just don't know when to give up, do you?
is reminiscent of all of the Captain America films where he says the same line.
Pick on someone your own size.
And enter Sebastian Stan as Lieutenant Bucky Barnes.
Sometimes I think you like getting punched.
I had him on the ropes.
How many times is this? Oh, you're from Paramus now. You know it's illegal to lie on the enlistment form. Seriously, Jersey.
You get your orders?
107.
One of the hardest things when you're acting with something not there is looking at the right spot, and they're doing it very well. Because it doesn't actually take much, even to look left and right. You can notice on a screen a couple of inches left or right, you're like, they're not looking at it. To get that is actually pretty good.
Well, last night.
It'd be interesting to see how they filmed him putting his arm round.
So that's why I said they filmed with a shorter man there, copying the movements so that they could do that. And then we're at the World Fair, which would have been seen in Iron Man 2.
Yes, so this scene obviously you would have seen before in Iron Man 2, but in Iron Man 2 they didn't have.
It wasn't on.
It was the first time they were doing it again after
Yeah.
a number of years. We're about to see two girls here. One you might recognise as Clara Oswald from Doctor Who.
What? You should keep that kind of stuff to yourself. Yeah, you should have kept that to yourself, dude. Yeah, that's awesome.
You just missed it. One of the most important Easter eggs in the entire film.
Dude, tell me about these Easter eggs before they happened.
Sorry. There was a red suit on display. That is the Human Torch, not the Human Torch you're thinking of.
Okay, which Human Torch is
So,
it?
in Marvel Comics, there was an original Human Torch, and it was an android, and it was a human, and he was a red Human Torch. Now, why is that significant? Well, Chris Evans
Is the Human Torch.
played the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four films.
No, I like that you're not pointing out the young Howard Stark.
Oh, I can talk all day about how I really don't like the fact that Dominic Cooper took over, but I actually think he plays it very, very well. He basically takes Tony Stark's essence and does it.
Jenna Coleman.
Now, here's a question. He just used a piece of tech called his reversion technology.
Reversion, okay.
This is the predecessors of Tony Stark's repulsors for his hands.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So there's loads of Easter eggs here.
Come on, soldier.
Come on, kind of missing the point of a double date. We're taking the girls dancing.
You go ahead. I'll catch up with you.
You really gonna do this again?
Well, it's a fair. I'm gonna try my luck.
That's who? Steve from Ohio? If they'll catch you, worse, they'll actually take you.
Look, I know you don't think I can do this.
This isn't a back alley, Steve. It's war. I know it's a war. Why are you so okay to fight? There's so many important jobs. What are you gonna do? Collect scrap? Yes.
My little red wagon.
Why not?
I'm not gonna sit in a factory, Bucky. Fuck you. Come on, there are men laying down their lives. I got no right to do any less than them. That's what you don't understand. This isn't about me.
Right. Because you got nothing to prove. Don't do anything stupid until I get back.
How can I? Taking all the stupid with you.
You're a punk.
Jerk. Here.
Big baddie, Red Skull. Real name Johann Schmidt. Or in English,
Where do I get that?
John Smith.
Ah!
The other thing about that is that Hugo Weaving's character in The Matrix,
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Well, yes. And it's Miss Anderson. Yes, that's quite funny. And then we have the Doctor. He's not actually German.
No, Stanley Tucci. Tucci?
Ah, he's in a lot of things.
He has been in a lot of things. What's he been in, Joshua?
Names forget me.
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, right.
I have no idea.
But I recognise...
I do recognise the name. Do you know why he chose to be in this film?
No.
Because he wanted to do a German accent.
He did or didn't?
He did, he just wanted to do a German accent.
Wow.
But again, one of the two great doctors that lay down their lives at the beginning of a film. The other one being?
Don't know.
Iron Man?
Ah. That guy wasn't German, though.
No, he wasn't.
You want to go overseas? Kill some Nazis.
Excuse me?
Dr. Abraham Erskine. I represent the Strategic Scientific Reserve.
Steve Rogers.
Representing Avengers.
Where are you from?
Queens. 73rd Street and Utopia Parkway. Before that, Germany. This is troubleshoot. Very good for Mr. Rogers. Is it New Haven? Or Ramos? 5 exams in 5 different cities.
That might not be the right 5.
No, it's not the exams I'm interested in. It's the 5 tries. But you didn't answer my question. Do you want to kill Nazis?
Is this a test?
Yes.
I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from.
Yeah, there are already so many big men fighting this war. Maybe what we need now is a little guy. Huh? I can offer you a chance. Only a chance.
I'll take it.
Good. So where is the little guy from? Actually.
Brooklyn.
The Spider-Man's from Bronx?
Congratulations.
Queens.
Queens.
Soldier.
No. Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn. Spider-Man's from Queens. Right, so we're about to get our first glimpse of Armin Zola here.
And this is the theme Hydra Lab.
Fitting.
It is. It is very traditional. You've got like the weird violin swirling. You've got...
Just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Armin Zola, we first see on a screen. Now,
He's a famous guy.
that's Toby Jones, yes. But Armin Zola in the comics has always been known for being like in a screen, in a computer, the same way that he was in for the next Captain America film.
Honestly, my favourite thing of him was in Sherlock.
He was very good in Sherlock.
He was terrifying.
But he's been in other things as well.
Oh yeah, many things. But yeah, the Hydra Lab was lovely for its it's menacing. It has the light pianos, it has the light things. It's quite cool that our first glimpse of it is still yet too bright to actually see, even in full view.
Yep.
Which is a very intentional decision.
20%.
40. 60. Stabilizing at 70%.
I have not come all this way for safety, Doctor.
Oh, blimey.
Now, why is it doing this? Why is it screaming? Well, we know from later films that the Tesseract is actually the Space Stone. So it must be pulling different holes in space to different areas, other places. That's where the screaming must be coming from.
Though they may require some slight reinforcement.
The exchange is stable. Missing. It's an energy we have just collected. It could power my designs. All my designs.
It's the power of the universe.
Will change the war.
Zola. This will change the world.
So it's quite stereotypical, but you know.
Gentlemen, I'm Agent Carter. I supervise all operations.
There she is.
of this division.
And British.
Maybe that well.
Victoria. Thought I was signing up for the U.S. Army.
What's your name, soldier?
Gilmore Hodge, Your Majesty.
Step forward, Hodge. Put your right foot forward.
You get a wrestler? Because I got a few moves I know you'll like. Mr. Carter,
Colonel Phillips.
I can see that you are breaking into candidates. That's good.
Tommy Lee Jones, famous for
Men in Black.
Men in Black.
General Patton has said, wars are fought with weapons, but they are won by men. We are going to win this war because we have the best men. And because they're going to get better. Better. The Strategic Scientific Reserve.
Oh, there's a set of bicycle playing cards.
The best minds in the pre-war.
Bicycle playing cards have been around for a long time, Josh.
Is to create the best army in history. But every army
Now, how true is this of army training?
Yeah, obstacle courses are very common. The thing that I don't think was true was actually the banter he was giving before. Candidates get a very rough going over. From drill sergeants on their first day. They would have known, don't say a fucking word to someone in public like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it works for the film. Doing physical exercise. Basically, boot camp is about getting in the exercise before you get to the field. And if you can train extra hard now to avoid getting hit by whatever it is in the field, they'll train you extra hard now. That's the principle.
Men thrown at the halfway point. First man to bring it to me gets a ride back with Agent Carter. Move!
And I think this is why this scene just epitomizes Captain America.
I don't think it does. I mean, this is weird, but I think it epitomizes Steve Rogers. Because Captain America, when he gets his powers, I don't know. Can you point to him in the future being as intelligent to boot?
Yes, he's the Avenger strategist.
But when does he make a decision out of the box like this?
Well,
Which is brilliant.
Personally, I think that he's the one who organises the way that they should attack. He does it. Captain calls the orders in the original Avengers film. Those types of things, like when it is one of those big things. It is one of I think so? maybe you're right. Maybe it's the knowledge of Steve Rogers.
This is this. Clearly, what Steve Rogers is good at is making the most of what he has. He's efficient, which has helped because right now he ain't very big. So I guess we'll have to see later where else. And I guess I'm just curious where else he makes a very efficient decision. Because when it comes to results, Steve Rogers actually historically takes inefficient decisions. He says, I will do much more to save one life than it would just be to let a life die and move on. He explicitly takes hard decisions. He puts himself in a hard place to try and get the results he wants. Moralistic.
Does he put other people in a hard place to get the results he wants?
Inevitably, yeah. For example, I'm sure it'll come later if we do it. Oh, hang on. Oh, this is
This epitomises Steve Rogers, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the important things to remember about the serum, the serum that he will about to take, is that
He's still scared.
it doesn't make you strong. It doesn't make you.
Oh, it does.
Well, it does.
It doesn't. It changes you physically. It doesn't change you mentally.
No.
Yeah, Steve Rogers was the hero before he grew big.
The point is that it empowers what's already there.
All right. Yeah.
Get the jitters, I guess.
No, I agree with you.
Can I ask you a question? Just one? Why me? I suppose that is all.
Yeah, because I sure point out later, Steve Rogers says, we will save the civilian population, we will save them, do this, go here, do that. If he was being I don't want to say cruel, but if he was being a calculating strategist, he would have said, we have an objective, which is the enemy. If we let the civilians sit as collateral, however many or few there will be, we can deal with the enemy efficiently, focus our resources there. But he says, Quicksilver, you get the people, you go help people, you get people, we'll fight Ultron. He puts himself in harder situations to get the result he wants.
Mm-hmm. But he really does think about those situations though.
Well, let's see.
And I think he wants to be the hero.
I don't think he wants to be the hero though. He
and Hitler shared a passion for occult power and to try to win.
I don't think he wants to be a hero. He just wants to do his thing. He is what I'd call a free agent, and he happens to find people who sit along his lines of thinking. And when they don't,
He has
you get a civil war.
that there is a great power hidden in the earth, left here by the gods, waiting to be seized by a superior man. So that he has got my formula and what it can do. He cannot resist. Schmidt must become that superior.
I'm not a fan of this flashback. I don't think it's very good.
It's very important though.
I mean, don't get me wrong, content is important. I'm not sure how else I would have refilmed it, but like, the many heads flashing up doesn't do it for me. It doesn't feel part of the period, it doesn't feel part of anything. It just sort of is. Like, especially when you consider like the effects of Doctor Strange as they come up explaining things, Ant-Man. I think they could have gone a step further.
So good becomes great. Bad becomes worse.
The thing is though, good and bad are
Relative.
not just relative. If you imagine a compass where a needle points north, we've got an equal and opposite needle pointing south. That's bad. It is as equally driven and directed, just in a different direction. So maybe he's right actually, good does become great, evil does become bad, in that both become stronger on their path. Schmidt story?
Whatever happens tomorrow, you must promise me one thing. That you will stay who you are.
Not a perfect soldier, but a good man.
To the little guys.
Do you think this Doctor is as empathetic as the one in the first one?
No, you have to see the of yours.
Yes, I think he is. I think he's cleverer than Jensen.
Okay.
I think Jensen has Jensen is clever in terms of what he does, but I think that
We just saw a little glimpse of it there.
Something in particular you need?
this guy has does know his know people. He understands people more than Jensen does.
That's fair. I'll give you that.
I love how the painters just use loads of red.
You disapprove.
I just don't see where you need to concern yourself. I can't imagine he'll succeed.
I like how the shape of his face has already changed. You can see it very slightly from the silhouette.
Only defense
Yeah.
against this power we now possess. If we take it away from them, then our victory is assured.
So he used the serum on himself. Was it refined or unrefined or a different one?
Same serum, I believe,
But it had obviously a very different
but
effect.
had a different effect because good becomes great,
And evil gets a red face.
becomes worse.
Not good soda. What do you think?
I like that guy's relief. It is profitable but scary dealing with master villains.
I got beat up in that alley.
Is this the first time we see a shield building? If we don't count the tents from the previous film.
Not one, not two, not Thor, not Avengers. Yeah, I think it is. Not
Can't say no forever.
Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk.
I know a little what that's like, to have every door shut in your face.
I guess I just don't know why you'd want to join the army if you're a beautiful dame. Or a beautiful woman. An agent, not a dame. You are beautiful.
You have no idea how to talk to a woman, do you?
I think this is the longest conversation we've had before. Women aren't exactly lining up to dance with the guy they want to step on.
You must have danced.
Well, asking a woman to dance always seems so terrifying. And the past few years just didn't seem to matter that much. Figured I'd wait.
For what?
Do you know how I've been saying in the last two films we've watched that the characters just look so young?
Mm-hmm.
Chris Evans doesn't. I think Chris Evans sticks with his character across the only thing obviously is the beard, when he gets the beard, but everything else I think he looks the same across all films. And I like that. I like that feeling.
I can see that, yeah. I think Loki also... Oh, his hair changes.
His hair was a great
Follow me.
Thor. Brooklyn Antiques.
Wonderful weather this morning, isn't it?
Yes, but I always carry an umbrella.
Now my question is, do you think there are buildings like this that actually have secret doors and rooms to bigger...
Undoubtedly.
Yeah?
Undoubtedly. Not if it was in the 1920s with the speakeasies, whether illegal or legal, secret or sensitive, almost certainly. Whether it looks quite like this, I don't know, but I'm sure if you ever found your first attention to be on, you'd be like, oh man, this is here?
Now I believe that the hats these guards are wearing say SSR on them.
I thought it says MP.
It does say MP.
MP means military police.
So this hasn't even become the Strategic Scientific Reserve yet.
They did say it's like something scientific, something like that.
So maybe it is. Maybe this is the Strategic Scientific Reserve. They will eventually become S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Or will they become Hydra?
Or both.
Take off your shirt, you'll tie in your head.
Realistically, the pants too, because those are going to need to grow.
Why exactly am I in Brooklyn?
We needed access to the city's power grid. Of course, if you'd have given me the generators on requisition.
A lot of people asking for funds, Colin.
Oh, this is Clem,
Fred Clemson, State Department. If this project of yours comes through, we'd like to see it used for something other than headlines.
Gee, somebody get that kid a sandwich.
Yeah, the more that I realise that this is actually Chris Evans, the more I'm like, wow, they did a really good job with the effects.
Legs weren't great though. Look how long those legs are.
I mean,
It's a little big.
angles.
You see me any of that schnapps? Not as much as I should have. Sorry. Next time.
He's very, very pale as well as a small child.
That's alright.
As a small child.
When they dim half the lights in Brooklyn. But we are ready to go ever be.
That is Howard Stark and Captain America's first conversation together.
And he didn't say a word.
There will be many more, because we know in I think it's Civil War that Howard Stark keeps talking about how he knew Captain America.
Today, we take another step towards annihilation, but the first step on the path to peace.
I mean, ain't that the
We
truth?
begin with a series of micro injections into the subject's major muscle groups. Serum infusion will cause immediate cellular change.
Now, why would there be a spare vial?
Then, to stimulate growth,
Um,
the subject will be saturated
Why?
Good question. I'm not sure.
In case something broke?
Because here's the thing, realistically, if something broke, the experiment's off anyway. Like, if something doesn't go in right, if they dropped it, then they have what's coming to them.
That was penicillin.
Serum infusion. Beginning in...
This is the second time in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film as well. This is not the second time. Sorry, there are 2 times that that serum is stolen to build super soldiers. The other time being December 19. Is it 1941? No, it can't be 1941. 1951, the year that Howard and Mary Stark. Is it Mary Stark? Not die.
And they were doing
61.
They were doing super
61.
soldier things.
No, but in the back of their car, they had super soldier serum. Or Captain America did.
Interesting.
Stephen? Can you hear me?
Probably too late to go to the bathroom, right?
I think it was December 19th, 1961. You have to test me when we get to Civil War.
Alright, I will.
You see how it said Stark? It says Stark everywhere.
I mean, he's building the tech. Who's smarter, his dad or his son?
Son. That's why in Iron Man 2, John Slattery says to Tony that via video that his most impressive creation was Tony himself.
I like the detail, don't touch when in use. Small things like that.
Why is it called a Vita Ray as well?
Vita, life, light, vitamin. Of course it's vitamin.
Mr. Stark?
Not to know, there's been very limited set pieces. This is the first time we hit our real set piece.
Now,
and we get Chris Evans in all his muscular glory.
Now, did you know Hayley Atwell's about to walk over to Captain America?
Who's Hayley Atwell?
Agent Carter's about to walk over to Captain America, and surprisingly looks at him and like touches his chest.
Yeah.
That was genuine surprise.
She'd never seen him before.
They never. She was very taken aback by Chris Evans' like physical.
She's actually like winking her eyes.
Like physical appearance. She nearly ruined the take as well.
Was that their first take?
I think so. I don't know.
You can see because she's quite stunned, and I think that's pretty funny. And like the other Doctor, shot. Doctors have a bad rep in this film, in these cinemas.
Let's get to Strange. I'm sure Strange will be alright.
He doesn't have had such a great time.
His dying breath was to remind Steve Rogers about what he should be doing, always using this.
His heart.
His heart.
Just another day in New York. That is incredible shooting.
She was an incredible woman.
Single-handed, one-handed pistol for that day, for that kind of thing, target, is incredible.
Now, I think this scene is just meant to show how incredible his physicality is now. And
in films, action is never just violence for the sake of violence. Action should be an expression of character. It should be telling you something. It should be advancing them. And this is exactly that. This is a scene deliberately designed to show where he came from and where he went in a moment. And I think it does it very well. And it's also our first real set piece of the film outside of like the opening.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had a montage of all the time people have clung to the top of cars
in films,
from Spider-Man to whatever. I think it'd be a pretty good montage.
Yeah. Now those would have hit him.
Realistically, yes. Also, he was dodging out the way before he knew what was coming. That's not how it works. Oh, I like that there's a star on that.
I was about to say, unfortunately, you got me before I said it. He's about to pick up this door, which has a star on it. Another reference to his
lucky star.
And again, car doors are not bulletproof.
No, in fact, car doors would go through. Bullets would go through that quite happily. Now, not that miniature submarines were this advanced, but miniature submarines were a thing in World War II.
Oh, really?
And they weren't that efficient. They did a couple of good missions, but their biggest problem was actually suffocation. They only had they didn't have like the capacity to regenerate their air or reuse their air. So carbon monoxide will fill up pretty quickly. And one of the dangers I remember reading, oh man, swimming after him and just grabbing the exhaust. One of the dangers was that when they came up the surface and opened their hatch, the buildup of dioxide would get them tossed out.
Really? That's really interesting.
Oh, spilled.
Who the hell are you?
Who are you?
Cut off one head. Two more. Shall take its place.
Cyanide tooth.
Again, cyanide teeth. Was that a thing? Do you think?
It's certainly used a lot in films, and cyanide capsules in teeth. I've heard of them a bit, so possibly. But I don't think it was as easy as flicking your tongue at it and then chomping. I think you actually have to sort of like use your fingers to break it out in prison and then do it.
So that scene in the submarine was only filmed 3 times because the actor who played the Hydra agent didn't like water.
Damn. I know you have a problem with water, but we want to film you in a submarine getting drowned.
So much as a rifle in over a year. And we had learned through local intelligence you had mounted a full-scale incursion into Norway.
The Führer feels, how does he put it, the Red Skull has been indulged long enough.
Red Skull was said there.
Gentlemen?
But it doesn't call him the Red Skull, does it? Is it? Is it calling...
It says the Red Skull has
been indulged enough. Is that calling him Red Skull or is it calling, like, Hydra?
I think it's calling him.
Hitler speaks of a 1,000-year Reich, but he cannot feed his armies for a month. His troops spill their blood across every field in Europe, but still he is no closer to achieving his goals.
And I suppose you still aim to win this war through magic?
Science, but I understand your confusion. Great power has always baffled primitive men. Hydra is assembling an arsenal to destroy my
They've got a diagonal thing going. That guy on the left was standing diagonally,
How many forces they possess?
and this guy on the right is now standing diagonally,
Your enemies?
Yeah.
Weapons contain
using that to lean inwards.
Where do we see diagonals? Lots of
Well, lots of them in Thor, as I pointed out.
yeah.
Quite simply, gentlemen, I have harnessed the power of thoughts.
Thank you, Fred.
For what?
For making it clear how obviously mad you are.
Berlin is on this map.
So it is.
You will be punished for your insolence. You will be brought before the Führer himself.
Now, here's a question. We know what this power actually is. This is from the Space Stone.
Yes.
Does that mean those three are somewhere in space? Are we expecting a cameo on some sort of planet?
Hydra could grow no further in Hitler's shadow.
Realistically, I don't think so. I think because what they were doing there is they weren't harnessing the Space Stone; they were harnessing its energy.
Yeah, but it's still the energy of a Space Stone. I don't know.
Well, that's one for the theories.
Think you get enough?
What do they do with his blood in the end?
I don't hope that reproducing the program is not an original.
It's put into small bags and put in the back of Howard Stark's car as he dies
If it could work only once.
because of.
Given to Bucky.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Why don't we start with how a German spy got a ride to my secret
Right, so
car? What do we got here? Speaking modestly, I'm the best.
there are two cameos that were supposed to happen in this film.
Alright.
Both are characters by Fox,
Uh-huh.
and both were denied.
Okay.
Because it is a period piece, there are only two characters from Fox, maybe a third, that could be in this film.
Who are they?
Magneto?
Professor X?
No.
No?
He's the
Wolverine?
third. Wolverine.
Who could be, oh, he'll be the third.
So Magneto and Professor and Wolverine were the two characters that were supposed to be cameoed. Obviously, there were issues with Fox, and it didn't happen. But they were originally
in the film.
Supposed to be cameoed in the film.
Damn. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I think we may be missing the point. I've seen what an actual seen. More importantly, the country's seen it. People.
Once again, Marvel going with the superheroes aren't hidden; they're actually quite public.
Son, you will serve your country on the most important battlefield of the war. Sir, that's all I want. And congratulations. You just got promoted. I don't know if I can do this.
Now, the band that sings this are called the Star Spangled Singers. They have one song under their belt. It's this.
This song is called the Star.
The band who sing it are called the Star Spangled Singers.
The song is called the Start Spangled Man.
Yes.
Written by Alan Menken. Okay.
Of musical
Can
fame.
I talk about Alan Menken? Alan Menken of musical fame, indeed.
I'm not gonna lie, I listened to it several times.
I do love this song. Alan Menken of musical fame. Alan Menken wrote Aladdin. He wrote Little Shop of Horrors. He wrote Beauty and the Beast, Enchanted, Tangled.
Really?
He is Disney's he's got so much Disney under his belt. He wrote Hercules.
Damn.
And he was asked to write a song for Captain America.
That's cool.
And yes, I think it's a fantastic song. It's very good. And this is the first and only representation of Hitler we see in the entire film.
When? In this film later? Or now?
Very soon.
I like that he still does awkwardness, because that disappears later. Later he just grows into himself, but now he's.
You can't do that without bullets and bandages, tanks and tanks. That's where you come in. Every bond.
Yes, and this is, I believe, this is the only. This is our only representation of Hitler in the entire.
I like he's also got the sort of original Captain America
shield.
Ears. Sort of like Hermes'
the
ears.
wings, yeah,
Hermes'
absolutely.
ears, wings.
The shield as well is very. This is the original Captain America comic.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
They took out Bucky, I believe, from the front cover, just because of the way it is.
It's funny because it's Captain America looking at Captain America playing Captain America on film. In Captain America.
And we're watching Captain America.
And look, it's Captain America signing autographs as Captain America and Captain America.
Now that lady there is so important in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Who is she?
So you never see her in that character again.
Okay.
That is Peter Quill's mother.
You don't see that actor again, but you see her later.
You don't see that character again, but you see the actress. That's Peter Quill's mother.
Oh, so she's not Peter Quill's mother in that capacity there. Ah, that's awesome. Tweet.
Okay. I need a volunteer. I already volunteered. How do you think I got here?
Yep, that's accurate soldier humour.
I don't know what they would have got him to do up there, on the front lines.
Trying to be motivational support.
Nice boots, Tinkerbell. Come on, guys. We're all on the same team here.
Hey, Captain! Sign this!
Realistically, most of them were conscripts.
Notice what's on their helmets?
No.
The letters USA.
Well, I mean, that's subtle.
Hello, Steve.
Hi.
Hi.
What are you doing?
Officially, I'm not here at all. That was quite a performance.
Yeah. I had to improvise a little bit. Crowds I'm used to are usually more, close.
And I understand you're America's new hope.
Honestly, I'll take a 10% bump in every state I visit.
That's Senator Brandt, I hear.
At least he's got me doing this. Phillips would have had me stuck in a lab.
And these are your only two options. A lab rat or a dancing monkey. You were meant for more than this, you know. What?
You know, for the longest time I dreamed about coming overseas and being on the front lines, serving my country. Finally got everything I wanted. I'm wearing tights.
That's a very interesting line. From a character's perspective, a character challenging their desires and discovering that they either want it or they actually want something different is very important to their progression. Here he's realised, well, I want to serve my country, but it's not actually what I wanted when I do it.
200 men went up against him.
Do you think that happens up in life? Do you think that is one of the big...
Life's not characters. Life is far more complicated. As they say, the thing between fiction and life is fiction has to make sense. Life does not break down into a nice 3-part story. Life does not...
Well, if it isn't the Start Spangled Man with a plan.
I need the casualty list from Mazzano.
You don't get to give me orders, son.
I just need one name. Sergeant James Barnes from the 107th.
You and I are going to have a conversation later that you won't enjoy.
Please tell me if he's alive, sir. B-A-R.
I can spell.
No, life is far too complicated for that to happen. People change, that is undoubtedly. People don't change dramatically at times, but they do. But characters have 90 minutes to do it.
What about the others? Are you planning a rescue mission?
Yeah, it's called winning the war.
But if you know where they are, why not at
They're
least...
30 miles behind the lines.
through some of the most heavily fortified territory in Europe, you lose more men than would stay. I don't expect you to understand that because you're a forest girl.
I think I understand just fine.
Well, then understand it somewhere else. If I read the posters correctly, you got someplace to be in 30 minutes.
Yes, sir. I do.
If you have something to say, right now is the perfect time to keep it to yourself.
What do you plan to do? Walk to Austria?
That's what it takes.
You heard the colonel. Your friend is most likely dead.
You don't know that.
Even so, he's devising a strategy.
Now, there's something very meta that's potentially going on here, and I don't know how true it is. Steve Rogers, up to this point, has been a perfect soldier. He's done what he's ordered. He's grunted, but he's done it. This is the first time he's disobeying orders. He's doing explicitly what he's not been told to do, been told not to do, in the face of what he wants to do.
Why?
Well, the why is obvious. He has something that he can't get away from. The fate of his friend. Oh, I see, USA. And then, oh, where's...
Anyone see Rogers?
Oh, A for America. Ah.
The hydrogen camp is in cross.
When...
Between these two mounted ranges.
This could very well be the first... When a character takes it upon themselves to do something that previously they've always done, and then chooses not to, that's the point where the world opens up for them, where they realise that they can continue doing this and continue doing their stuff. This might be the time where he realises that if this didn't happen, if this scene didn't happen, when Sokovia, if those events did come to pass, he might have said, yes, actually, we need to just follow the orders and sign up.
Yeah.
This might be the point where he goes, actually, I will stick to my beliefs over yours, and where he decides, actually, I will continue doing what I want.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Steve Rogers has turned a corner here. This is him growing up.
Well, it's him changing.
Tested more than you, pal.
Now, how have you found the as it's a much bigger motor vehicle and sort of war veteran that you are compared to myself? How have you found the closeness to the war? In terms of the vehicles?
We haven't seen a whole lot. Oh, vehicles? I mean, everything Hydra is very out of place, but that's intentional. I think actually before that, and also outside of Schmidt's... is it Schmidt?
Schmidt, as in Johann Schmidt, yeah.
Yeah, outside of his tank, which was unreasonably large. Well, actually not impractically. The Germans did make a couple of prototypes of incredibly large tanks, but they were too inefficient to produce. So actually maybe that's not out of the question. I think actually it's been on point. I think the vehicles have been A-OK. I think the setting has been fantastic. Accents have been great, acting has been great. Actually I've been very happy with it. I think it's pretty on point. Uniforms are good. Uniforms are fantastic.
Weapons?
Jesus Christ, what is RoboCop doing over there?
You know, one of these days I'm gonna have a stick of my own.
Who's that guy? Looks like a regular beefeater. Weapons have also been very good. Pistols, I haven't counted the number. I wonder if we would find that some of the pistols had just a bit too much ammunition. But that's a common one in films. The infinitely reloading pistol. That timing's pretty fortunate. Now, the only reason why this scene passes the mark. I like how in the first one you're not sure who's got thrown out, but when it's the second you're like, oh, got it. The only reason that scene passes the mark is the phrase, coincidence can get your characters into trouble all day, but coincidences that get your characters out of trouble is called cheating. So being able to get into the magic thing, being able to get into the place, being able to get into there would have all... I was about to go, oh, that's nonsense. There's no way they'll be driving past. But no, it got him into trouble, so that's cool. There was a consequence for his actions. Now that vehicle is well out of place.
Oh.
That's like the Batmobile. What the fuck is that doing there? That is a fucking huge tank. And that building is just too large. Anyway, go on.
No, I forgot what I was going to say, to be honest.
Knock, 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 knock. Yes, please open the door to the... Now, what I'm not sure what didn't happen is the Hydra guys who threw out the bus, why they didn't just get up and pack themselves towards the front gate post-haste.
No, that's true.
But, you know what? I'll let it slide. We've got some big rockets to deal with. Probably reminiscent of V2s. Unguided rockets that just fell onto London. Interesting, Captain America's colour is definitely blue, and there's a lot of blue in this film. But then again, it is night, and blue is the general colour of night.
I don't think it's actually the reason why there's so much blue. I think the biggest reason why there's so much blue is the Tesseract.
This is true. But they could have made it red. They could have put blue with a...
Who are you supposed to be?
Captain America.
Beg your pardon? What, are we taking everybody?
I'm from Fresno, Ace. Is there anybody else?
I'm looking for Sergeant James Barnes.
Now, that was an interesting one. Fresno's America, right?
Yeah.
So, pointing out that the Japanese did fight with the Americans, and trying to put a different face on the fact that during World War II, when Japan joined the war, thousands of Japanese Americans were interned in camps. And in many respects, Japanese Americans were given a worse treatment than prisoner Germans. Prisoner Germans were treated very, very well.
That's interesting.
Ooh, that's a lot of dead people. That is a... okay, that's a tank and a half. And that guy just had his neck broken.
So this is our second bit of action in the film.
And this is probably the end of the first third. Oh, actually, is this the end of the second third? No, second is going to come in a
I
bit.
don't think it's the end of the first third, because I think the end of the first third is him becoming Captain America.
Yeah, you're right. So this is
about halfway through the film.
Halfway through the second, yeah.
And now to the resume.
Wahoo, you just heard him say, in the comic books, is the signature call of the Howling Commandos.
That's what... Okay, because that's the name of the track. I didn't understand who the Howling Commandos were.
The Howling Commandos are the group around Captain America. Or including Captain America.
What do you mean the group around?
So you'll see that later in the film he gathers some people together to fight the Nazis, to fight Hydra. That's the Howling Commandos.
Wahoo. Okay, very cool. It's a lot of ticking noises. Very annoying. Those are accurate level of grenades. He's small, he must be a scientist. Go after him. Or just look at the way he came and, I don't know, have some kind of epiphany.
So, of course, Armin Zola was experimenting on Bucky. Why?
Fortuitous.
Well, of course. We know why he does, where it comes from, what the result of it is.
So he actually has powers now.
Not really.
So what is the... Oh, he was mind control.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to you? I joined the army. Did it hurt? A little. Hurt? So far.
Now, why the Hydra hasn't mobilized the rest of its vehicles, I'm not quite sure. Nice little bit of detonation going down.
So was he destroying his own work, or was it he was trying to get them to to fire?
Yeah,
Captain America! How exciting! I'm a great fan of your films. So, Dr. S.
I'm a great fan of your films.
After all,
That's the explaining thing.
not exactly.
I'm not quite sure why. He could be overreacting, just going and thinking, yeah, there's a whole force in the way.
You got no idea.
Can you see the red under his eyes?
And that is first. Cap sees that and was like, okay, this guy gotta die.
Zola doesn't think that Red Skull can beat Captain America. Otherwise he wouldn't have pressed that button.
No matter what life has been told you, you say I was his greatest success.
Interesting. So on Red Skull seeing Captain, he goes, I don't need to hide myself anymore.
You don't have one of those, do you?
You are deluded, Captain. You pretend to
Hugo
be
Weaving
a
hated
soldier,
the
but in reality,
mask, hated the face, the
I
helmet
remember
it
reading
took.
that it also like was really quite uncomfortable for the face.
and like you,
I remember also reading.
embrace it proudly.
I remember that in Lord of the Rings, Gimli was allergic to his mask.
Really?
He was allergic. Every day of filming he had to take a day off. At the end of it, they allowed him to burn the prosthetics.
Let's go.
We go to the roof. Don't talk about me. Where will I sit?
Not a scratch, Doctor. Not a scratch.
Now, this is really... I want to talk about this car, because it is an incredible car, okay?
Right.
So, Red Skull's car was built from scratch from a modified truck chassis.
Nice.
It was 25 feet long and 8 feet wide.
It's a real car.
It's a real car. Its design was inspired by the Mercedes 540k and the Mercedes G4.
Alright.
And included an exposed supercharger between the front wheels.
Huh.
The car had 700 horsepower Drexler engine just to move it. And the director took it for a drive himself, and it had about a 38-foot turning radius.
38 feet.
Yeah, so it's not. So he said it wasn't a lot of fun to drive, but it looked fantastic, and just a beautiful car.
So whenever you see it, it's always driving mostly in straight lines.
Yeah. I bet you that that car is somewhere in the world. I'd love to know where it is. If it's in a
Almost
public place that we can go and see it.
It would be pretty awesome. If it's not with the director, it's probably in a movie studio lot.
Well, the director didn't pay for it, so I wouldn't suggest that he...
Well, I don't know. Quentin Tarantino, the guy we mentioned yesterday, he kept some of the cars from his film.
John Favreau's car was an Iron Man 1.
Well, I mean, that was his car.
Third, aerial reconnaissance has proven unfruitful. As a result, I must declare Captain Rogers killed in action. Period.
The last surveillance flash is back. New sign of activity.
Pretty incredible car.
Yes, sir. Can't touch Stark, he's rich. And and he's the Army's #1 weapons contractor. You are neither one.
With respect, sir, I don't regret my actions. And I don't think Captain Rogers did either.
What makes you think I give a damn about your opinions? Took a chance with you, Agent Carter, and now America's golden boy and a lot of other good men are dead because you had a crush.
It wasn't that. I had faith.
Well, I hope that's a big comfort to you when they shut this division down. What the hell's going on out there?
I do like Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee Jones.
He's very good.
He's a good actor. I do think he
does pissed off well.
Yes, he does do permanently pissed off pretty well.
Now, remember that he said, I'll walk there if I have to. So they've just walked back.
Along with a number of tanks and all the...
most of them.
All of the guns that were available as well. Yeah, they've stolen a lot of tech.
Realistically, with weapons like that, they could have marched through most of Allied lines quite quickly.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave that part to history. Oh, guy from the beginning.
And he was also the guy who heckled.
I didn't know that.
Some of these men need medical attention. I'd like to surrender myself for disciplinary action.
That won't be necessary.
Yes, sir.
Wait, huh?
Oh, it does say MMR on them.
MMR?
Oh, it says MP. Sorry, I thought I was reading the helmets.
It should be SSR.
Oh.
Couldn't call my ride.
Hey! Let's hear it for Captain America!
Yay, heroism!
And we don't see many of these soldiers again.
I mean, there's a reason for that.
I am honored to present this medal for valor to my personal friend, Captain America. Captain America! Captain, that's your cue.
I thought he'd be
The person he's speaking to, do you know who that is?
No.
That is the original Captain America.
Really?
From the 1944 TV series.
That's awesome. I didn't remember where Stan Lee came in that. I thought he'd be taller.
This is the glimpse of the map.
West of the Maginot Line. I just got a quick look.
Nobody's perfect.
These are the weapon factories we know about. Sergeant Barnes said that Hydra shipped all the parts to another facility that isn't on this map.
Agent Carter, coordinate with MI6. I want every allied eyeball looking for that.
No, yes, filming in London. Why are they in London? I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's the forward base for America.
Now that girl there
Yes, sir.
is in Game of Thrones. I can't think of her name.
Never seen Game of Thrones.
Oh, what's her name?
So let's get this straight. We barely got out of there alive and you want us to go back?
Pretty much.
Sounds rather
But she's quite famous.
Amen.
Moi, je combattrai jusqu'à ce que le dernier de ces bâtards soit mort, enchaîné, ou bien pleure comme un petit bébé.
Just to translate what he just said, it says, I will fight till the last of those bastards are dead, chained, or cry like little babies.
We're
Just to interrupt my my searching about who that actress is. But she is very, very famous. Natalie Dormer.
Haven't heard her name.
So Natalie Dormer. Game of Thrones. She is in that. She is also in the Hunger Games. She's also Irene Adler in Elementary.
Okay, that's all
what
pretty cool.
else has she been in?
Alright.
She has been in a lot of things.
Cool. lot of talking in this film.
There is a lot of talking in this
Kind of
film.
grown up. Agent Carter. Yeah.
Howard has some equipment for you to try.
Sounds good.
I see your top squad is prepping for duty.
You don't like music?
I do, actually. I might, even when this is all over, go dancing.
Then what are we waiting for?
The right partner. 0800, Captain.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be there. I'm invisible. I'm turning into you. That'll be great. Don't take it so hard. Maybe she's got a friend.
And that was the dance that they never get.
Sure is unusual. Alpha Beta were neutral. But I doubt Rogers picked up on that. Seems harmless enough. Hard to see what all the fuss is about.
If that happened, he'd probably be dead. The glass would have killed him.
Write that down.
Excuse me. I'm looking for Mr. Stark.
He's in with Colonel Phillips. Of course, you're welcome to wait. I read about what you did.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, just doing what needed to be done.
Sounded like more than that. You saved nearly 400 men.
Really, it's not a big deal.
Tell that to their wives.
I don't think they were all married.
You're a hero.
Well, that depends on the definition
The
of
women of America, they owe you their thanks. And seeing as they're not here.
Ooh.
Captain, we're ready for you, if you're not otherwise occupied.
Agent Carter, wait.
Looks like finding a partner wasn't that hard after all.
That's not what you thought it was.
I don't think anything, Captain, not one thing. Always wanted to be a soldier and now you are, just like all the rest.
Well, what about you and Stark? How do I know you two haven't been fondling?
You still don't know a bloody thing about women.
Funny, because I was about to say exactly the same thing.
She's inbred, my friend.
Really? I didn't think...
No shit, you pal. The moment you think you know what's going on in a woman's head is the moment your goose is well and truly cooked. Me, I concentrate on work, which at the moment is about making sure you and your men do not get killed.
Notice he's upgrading his bike.
Should withstand your average German bayonet, although Hydra's not going to attack you with a pocket knife. I hear you're kind of attached.
It's handier than you might think.
I took the liberty of coming up with some options. This one's fun. She's being fitted with electrical relays that allow you to...
What about this one?
No, that's just a prototype.
What's it made of?
Vibranium.
Now,
It's stronger than steel and a third the weight.
oh wait, there were 4 of these shields made for the film. Metal, plastic, rubber, and CGI.
That's the rarest metal on Earth.
What were they used? Do you know what they used for?
Metal for the beauty shots. Plastic for when he needs to run around and do stuff with it. Rubber for when it's on his back, so it doesn't hurt him if there's a fall.
No, rubber was used for when he's punching people with it.
Oh, okay.
But there were magnets on the back of the metal one, I believe, to keep it on his back.
That makes sense.
And the CG one used for
throwing
and catching, absolutely. Now it's really interesting that this is just made from vibranium.
Why is that?
Because in the comics it's not.
Okay.
It's made of an alloy of vibranium and adamantium.
Ah, same universe, I guess.
Used in Wolverine's claw.
I like the outfit.
Why in the MCU is it only made from vibranium?
don't know. Oh,
Because Fox own the word
Oh,
adamantium.
there's a car. There's a car. They own the word adamantium. Oh, interesting.
They own that like they own characters.
I like the outfit though. He's got. Oh, I just noticed on his ears he's still got the Herbie's wings. This kind of reminds me of the start of Avengers 2.
Yeah. But his shield in that one is is magnetic.
Yay, fake film effects. With lenses that they couldn't have had at the time. And movements that they couldn't have been able to do at the time. Yay! Why wouldn't they just shoot? Oh,
That's
right.
Bucky.
Fair enough.
Now, do you remember we were saying in each comic book film there's a beauty shot? That was the beauty
Of
shot.
him throwing it, but like the sort of the downward fist.
Absolutely.
Wilhelm scream.
That wasn't the Wilhelm scream, was it?
Wasn't it? Oh, this is the big tank we saw at the start.
Was it the Wilhelm scream?
We are close to an offensive that will shake the planet. We are continually delayed because you cannot outwit a simpleton with a shield.
It's hardly my area of expertise. I merely develop weapons. I cannot fire.
Finish your mission, Doctor, before the American finishes his.
I'm sorry, Herr Schmidt. We fought to the last man.
Evidently not.
Nice.
Remember when I made you ride the Cyclone at Coney Island?
Yeah, and I threw up.
It should be a lot colder than that up there.
Why would I do that?
They should not be as
You
comfortable.
were right. Dr. Zoe was on the train. Hiker dispatcher gave him permission to open up the throttle. Wherever he's going, they must need him back.
Let's get going because they're moving like the devil.
We only got about a 10-second window. You missed that window. We're bugs on a windshield. Mind the gap.
The Wilhelm scream. It wasn't the Wilhelm scream, but it is used later on in the film.
Alright.
Does every Marvel film have a Wilhelm scream in it?
It's not every Marvel, it's just a very common thing. Not
No, but
every-
I feel like they would have. If they're going to do it, they would have done it for... These guys are clever. They're not idiots. They would have done it for all of these.
Then you know what, we'll have to pick. We'll have to check out.
Also, this cable that they just swung down on.
Uh-huh.
Really?
I mean, that's perfectly actually reasonable. Now, the landing... Now, on the train there, their biggest problem would be the wind knocking them around. So they're moving around far too easily for a train going that speed. But actually, yeah, like, that's... If you're going the same speed as a train, you can just drop onto it. But then you would have to suffer from... Well, they didn't want to suffer from certain things. Once again, Hydra out of their time.
Stop him! Again!
Realistically, the better thing to do, instead of trying to kill him like this... Hang on. As soon as he lands on the train and you know he's there, lock the doors to catch that carriage, or blast that carriage, have some way of knocking that carriage off.
Yeah.
That would have been the smarter thing to do. Unless they really wanted to kill him and then... Well, they're not going to kill him, they're going to evaporate him. So they didn't want... They couldn't use his blood. lovely little finish.
Oh shit. Now, this is reminiscent of Bucky picking up the shield. And that's really important because
At which point?
Bucky just picked up the shield now to defend himself.
When does he do that again? Oh, he grabs it in.
He does. He does, but in the comic books, he does become Captain America.
And Bucky falls to his death.
Supposedly.
His death.
Look, we're in a comic book movie, and I think in comic book movies, as per comic books, nobody is really dead.
It's like it's like a Simpsons thing, and they solve global warming forever. But wouldn't that forever?
They capture Zola and take him to America.
America or London?
Could be London. I thought that was America above. Could be London though.
Can't be sure. It's a big prison cell, unnecessarily large.
Interrogating room.
I suppose.
With bed.
That's disconcerting.
I think Zola is the cleverest scientist in the film.
I think that's fair.
Steak.
What is in it?
Cow. Doctor, do you realize how difficult it is to get a hold of a prime cut like that out here?
I don't eat meat.
Why not?
It disagrees with me.
I got cyanide. Does that give you the wrong belief on me too? Every Hydra agent that we've tried to...
I was literally about to say, it's funny that he doesn't have cyanide.
We can stop him. But not you. So, here's my brilliant theory.
I was literally about to say, haha.
You're trying to intimidate me, Kara.
How about some dinner?
Given the valuable information he has provided, and in exchange for his full cooperation, Dr. Zola is being remanded to Switzerland?
I sent that message to Washington this morning. Of course, it was encoded. You guys haven't broken those codes, have you? It'd be awkward.
But this is a lie.
It's going to kill you anyway, Doc. You're a liability. You know more about Schmidt than anyone. And the last guy who cost us was Captain Rogers' closest friend, so I wouldn't count on the very best of protection. It's you or Schmidt. It's just an hand you've been dealt.
Now, if he truly believes Schmidt's going to win, he wouldn't say anything.
Only the word itself
Yeah.
will satisfy him.
You do realize that's nuts, don't you?
Sanity of the plan is of no consequence.
And why is that?
Because he can't do it.
What's his target?
Target is everywhere.
That'll be a good line for Thanos.
His target is everywhere. Right, the space, the ship.
Yeah, it's an impractical plane. Also, interesting that that's all the soldiers he's got left. I presume.
Tomorrow, Hydra will stand master of the world, born to victory on the wings of the Valkyrie. Our enemies' weapons
More Nordic references?
powerless against us. If they shoot down one plane, hundreds more will rain fire upon them. If they cut off one head, two more shall take its place. Hail Hydra.
Interesting, there's only 10 of them. Oh, right. Okay, there's more.
Couple more.
Alright. Interesting, they still don't fill the hangar, though. Yes, this is London. You can see St. Paul's in the background. You could see it. You can't see it now. Oh, you can see it just to the left.
So Captain America. So I've got this fact here, and I'm just trying to.
Oh, this is the bar they used to be in. Go on.
Understand it. Captain America was the last solo Avenger who hadn't appeared in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film before his own solo film until Ant-Man.
Okay.
So we've got Avengers. We've got Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 3, Guardians of the Galaxy, not a solo film.
Doctor Strange was after. Yeah, fair enough. Spider-Man came in Civil War.
Yep.
He thought it could be one of the side effects.
Huh.
It's pretty crazy.
Tell that, man.
It wasn't your fault.
You read the report?
Yes.
Then you know that's not true.
You did everything you could. Did you believe in your friend? Did you respect him? Then stop blaming yourself. Allow Barnes the dignity of his choice. He damn well must have thought you were worth it.
I'm going after Schmidt. I'm not going to stop till the whole of Hydra is dead or captured.
You won't be alone.
Johann Schmidt belongs in a bug house and thinks he's a god and is willing to blow up half the world to prove it, starting with the USS.
It's working with powers beyond our capabilities. He gets across the Atlantic, he will wipe out the entire eastern seaboard in an hour.
How much time we got?
What's his grand plan again? Is it bombs?
Yeah. Lots of nuclear bombs to destroy the world.
Tesseract bombs.
Yeah.
500 feet below the surface.
So what are we supposed to do? It's not like we can just knock on the front door.
So this is all the Howling Commandos.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
He's a big motorbike fan, Captain America.
Is Chris Evans one?
No, I think it's just Captain America is used to this.
Interesting. Tesseract bounces off vibranium. How very James Bond. I wouldn't really set fire like that.
No,
That was a on screen.
They wouldn't set fire like that, why not? Would the tyres not set fire?
Rubber doesn't burn like that. Cheeky. Rubber doesn't burn like that. Now, what's interesting about this, because if I remember, one bounces off. Does one bounce off? No. Okay. Yeah, basically, unless he was spraying phosphorus behind him, some kind of flammable material that sticks, and phosphorus is a very good one and a painful one, bikes just don't catch fire like that. The most that flamethrower would have done would make them fall over out of, like, out of being uncomfortable.
Captain America should not win this fight.
Well, he is a super soldier. I will grant the film's that. You're right, though. Like, when surrounded, the realistic thing that happens is that you die very quickly. Like, most films, they don't, okay, this is just bullshit. Like, roll underneath them, you're okay. Or roll up. Like, realistically, most in life, you don't have people coming on you one-on-one. You would be dead very quickly. But that's okay. I'll live with it.
Arrogance may not be a uniquely American trait, but I must say you do it better than anyone.
Still the Hermes wins.
Uh-huh.
What even you can do, Captain. Or did Erskine tell you otherwise?
He told me you were insane.
He resented my genius and tried to deny me what was rightfully mine, but he gave you everything. So,
What made you so special?
Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
And that's true. That is something that he has always been. In all the films, he's always been that kid from Brooklyn.
It'd be nice to hear him say that one again.
Yeah. So there's the first repetition of that.
So am I.
Now, why that guy didn't... Why Red Skull didn't just open up on the three of them, I'm not quite sure. I think, actually, he's easily panicked. Remember how he set off all the dealt bombs the second something goes wrong?
Yeah.
He looks calm, but I think he's actually easily panicked, which is why he sees three people coming through the window. Rather than turning and fighting them, he's like, actually, I'm out of here. So I will grant them this. Okay, generals would not be on the front line. Nor would she.
But is this not like an extra special raid?
No. You don't put generals on the front line. The thing about generals is that they're the brains that stay at the back line.
Oh, that's shit.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't be here either. Also, they appear to have stormtrooper syndrome.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple of people getting spooked. Now, realistically, this kind of running is not what they would do. They would be firing. If they would be advancing, they'd be advancing in waves. They wouldn't be like charging forwards like sort of soldiers in a battle. Sorry, like swordsmen. There'll be some would be firing from one side, some would be firing from the other side in a flank. From the other side, they'll be advancing forward slowly. It's inaccurate. The only thing inaccurate about that is that the boom would be a lot bigger. There'd be fire. The fire liquid would have been sprayed absolutely everywhere, and that room would entirely be on fire.
It's a shame. They should have done that, I think.
They had a small enough effect. They used their effects budget.
There it is. Now, we already know what happens with the cube, because we've already seen the cube. This is not the first time we've seen the cube.
When did we see the cube?
The end of Thor. In the briefcase.
When was that?
End of Thor. Selvig's looking at Nick Fury's
you're right.
at the cube with Nick
we
Fury.
know he has the cube. Now, they have propellers on the back of it. This is not strictly necessary. The Germans had begun to field aircraft that had jet engines. They weren't particularly good. They weren't modern as we know them, but they were jet engines. And like experienced pilots were saying like, yeah, we came out 700 miles an hour from the sun down on them. You know, that kind of dive when, oh man, that car. Yeah, they'll be going 700 miles an hour, and these things would just take off and leave them behind. And they're like, what are we meant to do? So they could have got rid of the propellers and just had jet engines. You could have conceivably say Hydra new jet engines. But I think a lot of people would just go, hang on, that's nonsense.
He just pressed a red button called K.
What does that say?
Well, his name in Men in Black is K. And in Men in Black there is a scene where he tells Will Smith not to push the big red button.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes where important people in important positions do things that they would not normally do. Now, he would have been buffeted by incredible turbulence at this point.
I'm probably dead there.
Realistically, yeah. Hey, look, it's the end of the Italian job.
Just on that button, around the button, says the words Gefahr nicht drücken, which translates to danger, do not push.
Once again, Hydra is just ahead of their time. Okay, that's not necessary.
Why would you put names on these
Why would you
bombs?
put them in English?
That's true.
Why would you put them in English? Yeah, you're welcome.
But why would you put names on the bombs in the first place?
Well,
do you have to track which ones you're missing? Sorry, we're missing the New York bomb here.
Wait, guys, I can't see Washington. Where did someone put Washington?
Chicago's got walkies.
Guys, how did you lose this? Yeah, no, that's... Films often put, Oh, wow, that's cool. That would have been a good place for a Wilhelm. Most places are a good place for Wilhelm.
Yeah.
Now, what I like about this is Marvel is being imaginative. They're not just punching people up. Now, I don't see why launching them now is a bad thing, because they're not over America.
Because they're also planes.
Yeah, but... Well, we can debate the specifics in a bit. And yeah, realistically, rolling would have just been a very good idea. Just roll over.
Could that plane roll?
All planes can roll. You know, 747s? Oh my god!
We haven't seen that much blood in a Marvel film, have
That
we?
was a pile of humans worth of blood. Yeah, 747s. When they were doing a test flight of it, the pilot decided to give it a roll. Like, it rolled on, it did a full 360, and someone was like, "Are they meant to do that?" No. Yeah, all planes can roll. But some planes can roll and stay upside down for an extended period of time because their wings are done differently. Now, interesting. If Captain had decided this was his ultimate mission, his final mission, using the correct form of ultimate, he would have flown that straight into the engine and brought the plane down. The only reason he would have done this is that he believes he can get out of it. Now, I don't know if this is a flaw in the part of the filmmakers, because realistically, this is Captain's final mission. This is the mission that he does or dies and the world is forever grateful for him. So the fact he didn't just take the easy option, and his thing is a bomb. His thing is a Hydra bomb.
Yeah.
He could have blown up the plane there and then. He would have been gone, the plane would have been gone. So him not doing that is a very serious question. It would have been cool to see, if only briefly, during Infinity War, if Captain's shield could do the same thing to the gauntlet and take a blast from it. Now let's rate this action. We've got plenty of viewing. We're not just in shaky camera mode. It's actually quite steady. We can see what's going on. You're moving around. Got nice amounts of contact. Punches feel weighty.
Using the everything around them.
Oh man, they were in the strata.
That plane, okay? That plane is such an interesting model because that plane specifically is called a fly-wing. It is all wing, no fuselage at all.
I was going to say it's very similar to the Delta Wings that they used to have in the 1970s. Particularly was used in the Falkland War, where it flew from England, refueling mid-air, and bombed the Falkland Islands.
That is not a made-up plane, though.
I could believe that.
Yeah, they in 1910. The Germans, the Americans, the Canadians, the Russians, the British all tried out prototypes of that plane. A style of plane.
Presumably because it gives you the most lift to body ratio, which is basically good for a bomber. You can carry the most bombs possible. Because when you think of regular Lancasters or regular American equivalents, you've got this long wing and then a narrow body and they try to throw many bombs out of there. Well, in this you could have bombs the entire way along the plane. And there's the Tesseract for the first time. We actually see it without it blowing our eyes up.
In this film.
Yes, in this film.
Now, Can we talk about this moment?
Go on.
So, about a year ago, I brought this moment up with Joshua and said to him, my theory was that Red Skull was not dead.
And I said, nah, Red Skull's a side character, there's no interest in him, he's gone.
And then, unfortunately, spoilers, as you know, he comes back to the surprise of many in Infinity War, whereby for the first time in that film it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I was extremely tired, and I turned around to Joshua, and
you're like,
just
I told you!
Told you so.
Oh, and it drops down. Interesting. So, just because I saw that, so the Infinity Stone does not drop in the same place as the
ship, no.
Now, interesting, they've clearly come from somewhere over the world. Weird.
They're going from Germany to America.
But instead of flying over the Atlantic, they flew over the ice caps.
Yeah.
Curious. Well, fair enough, they'll probably avoid the most fire.
Give me your coordinates, I'll find you a safe landing site.
It's not going to be a safe landing.
Notice that 2 bombs were missing.
I'll get Howard on the line, he'll know what to do.
Well, yeah, that makes sense, because one of them he just dropped out safely, and the other one he flew back into the thing.
I gotta put her in the water.
Please, don't do this. We have time. We can work it out.
Right now, I'm in the middle of nowhere. If I wait any longer, a lot of people are gonna die.
Is that Canada?
I think so. I think it must be the north of Canada if you say he's gone over the ice caps.
It looked like he'd gone up and over, rather than just going straight across.
This is my choice.
Now, after all of that, he decides to do the noble sacrifice. This comes back to, and I'm going to call this a plot hole, and I'm loath to call things plot holes because usually I think there's an in-world explanation, even if it's not very good. But this doesn't really have one. He could have blown himself up and destroyed the plane and all of that in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm. Especially now the Tesseract wasn't on the...
Oh, even before that. If he'd flown the plane in, Tesseract bomb would have blown up Tesseract, would have blown up Red Skull, would have blown up him, the film would have been over.
Yeah.
But, for worse or potentially for better, he doesn't.
Alright. A week next Saturday at the Stork Club.
You got it.
8 o'clock on the dot. Don't you dare be late. Understood?
You know, I still don't know how to dance.
I'll show you how. Just be there.
We'll have the band play something slow.
He's coming in hot.
Do we ever see Captain America have another romantic interest in the other films?
No, I don't think we do.
It's interesting. So, here, does he go unconscious? Is this what?
Yes, he is knocked out and he is frozen in the ice. Notably, the bombs also did not go off. Which means they are potentially still alive.
Potentially.
And if they had gone off, the film would have been over anyway. Spitfires, Lancasters.
VE Day. It's a shame they didn't use anything about Bletchley.
That's alright. But you're right, they could have. They did find it.
Sir.
That technology did not exist then.
The next great point.
That kind of motors, that kind of films robotics, sorry, didn't exist.
Just keep looking.
Now, there is a saying in the medical world that someone isn't dead until they're warm and dead. And the reason for this is, it is a not totally happens all the time, but it's actually more than rare occurrence that people die and fall in cold water and can be brought out and revived.
Really? It's actually a thing?
It's actually a thing. You are not dead until you're warm. In a greater or lesser time, in a couple of conditions, if you are in cold water, it has to be cold or freezing. If you're, oh, that's cute. If your throat closes up, if you can kind of do it yourself. If you feel a push, you can kind of block the airways. Yeah, there's a natural reaction that will do that. Oh, that's nice. And it's with the bin lid. If your throat closes up so your lungs don't fill with water, and if the water is cold enough to freeze your brain, you can be warmed up. They can literally take you out of the water, hook your bloods up and start running your blood through a machine, and basically cooking you with your blood, slowly heating your blood up 1 degree at a time, and they can bring you back. Not always, it's not guaranteed. Kids, don't try this at home, but it happens enough to make a notice.
Now, when I first saw this, I thought it was a dream sequence.
Fair enough. I mean, it's certainly got the feel to it. It's quite light, quite white. That's usually a sign of, heavenly. Oh, SSR.
Strategic Scientific Reserve, which is the army unit he was in, which then becomes...
I think he was wearing that back in the...
When he then becomes S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, you'd think that S.H.I.E.L.D. would have done their research.
I wouldn't be surprised if some person went on Google and just typed in old baseball game. Because that's what I would have done. I do like this twister. That is very nice.
Morning. Should I say afternoon?
Where am I?
You're in a recovery room in New York City.
This should have been the after credits.
I was about to say that. And I wondered that.
I wonder if this was meant to be the after credits scene.
Maybe.
It's from May 1941. I know because I was there.
I like that.
I'm going to ask you again. Where am I?
Captain Rogers.
Who are you?
Just woken up and still kicking butt.
I like that. Just woken up, still kicking butt.
All agents, code 13.
Code 13. Now 13's been used all over the place. Doc 13 was the doc he was on when he threw the Hydra agents.
Was he?
Yeah.
Ah.
Now they closed down Times Square for this in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's how you do it. Now to be fair, this would be the most confusing thing.
Look at all this free advertisement that people are getting.
Shot number 3.
Look, I'm sorry about that little show back there, but we thought it best to break it to you slowly.
Break what?
You've been asleep, Cap, for almost 70 years.
Huh, that was blurred out. There was an advert in the background that it came to the thing and it was blurred out.
You gonna be okay?
Really?
Yeah, they blurred out the actual thing.
I had a date.
Aww.
So that's Nick Fury's third film in a row he's been in.
Not a row.
Yeah.
Which he was in
Iron Man 2.
Was he in
Thor. And...
Oh, that's fair.
And this, and then he will be in the next one.
I remember something about this end sequence, but I don't remember.
It's based on American Patriot posters.
Yep, very true. Well, it has the feel of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the American main bomber. Ah, good old Uncle Sam.
Can we talk about the second credit scene?
Yeah, go ahead.
I really hate it.
And why is that?
Because
I'm trying to remember what it was.
It is not. It doesn't feel like an end credit scene at all.
US bomber.
Now I'm not going to spoil the end credit scene now. I'm going to wait until it gets to it so that Joshua can see it. But I personally do not like this end credit scene. And again, we can talk about it a bit more.
Alan Silvestri.
Alan Silvestri is very good. Alan Silvestri does all the Avengers music as well.
Yep. No, I like the music. Okay, so go on. Well, without spoiling, I guess we can't talk about too much about it. I thought when you said I don't like it, I thought you were talking about this end credit.
No. I
sequence.
mean,
was like,
the
it's
actual
kinda
end
hard.
credit scene itself. I really don't like it.
All right.
Now, why Tommy Lee Jones was second in that?
I mean, it's cast in order of appearance. It's just a thing. Oh, Rosie the Riveter, actually a person. She died not too long ago.
Really?
Who was Sebastian Stan?
Bucky. Really, really big, very well-known cast nowadays.
Look, that's kind of what happens when you're in one or more very well-known films. Look, as I said, from Thor, Tom Hiddleston became an iconic name on the back of, well, basically one film, but then realistically turned into several more. What I normally like when I see these things is when the actual shot that they're showing represents the people they're doing it on.
Yes.
And they haven't really done it here. No. But that's okay. I can live with that.
Now remember, we want to look to see if the bank is on the the thanks for it.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out. It'll be towards the end. Now, interesting, they never say the first Avenger anywhere else in the film, and in fact, this is the first. This is the first time until Spider-Man: Homecoming, where they have an origin story with a title. Because Spider-Man had Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man was Ant-Man,
Black Panther was Black Panther.
Yeah, so it's just until Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Galaxy,
but
yeah.
I even want to, that wasn't even Spider-Man's origin story.
What about does Avengers: Age of Ultron count?
Why would it count? Because that was the second one. Joel is currently dancing right now.
I just love Alan Menken. He's so good at.
Can we end this episode with this song?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dancers, you say dramas.
Yeah, they just. I do love Alan Menken. I love his music. And I think.
All right. Let's talk about Phil.
Are we talking about film as a whole? What we like, what we didn't like?
Are we going to go into this, or are we going to wait till after the end credits?
Maybe we'll wait until after the end credits. Now, just saw something that's really, really important.
Jack Kirby?
It is Captain America was based on. This film was based on the Marvel comic by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby.
Mm-hmm.
What do you notice about that?
There is no Stan Lee.
There is no Stan Lee. Stan Lee was not the creative Captain America and never has been the creative Captain America.
But he is Marvel's Golden Boy.
He is, and this is the first film he cameoed in that wasn't his own work.
Hulk was his?
Yes.
Interesting. Cool, alright. What about Daredevil? Did he cameo in Daredevil?
I don't think he cameoed in Daredevil.
Oh, alright. Was that Marvel? Or was that another,
I think Daredevil's Marvel. I'll have to check that one.
I like that. Best boy grip. Gary Gizzer Smith. Gizzer? Have a cup of tea?
Yeah, Daredevil's definitely Marvel because it's a Marvel cartoon.
Yeah. But, so he did cameo in it?
I don't believe so.
Well, they missed out.
The story. I just love this song.
Hey, it is top notch. Okay, I think we've got a tiny bit to go, so might as well just throw some thoughts on the film out.
Favourite character? And character progression?
I mean, actually, the one that took my heart was Tommy Lee Jones. Like, really, he was the most consistent and most... Like, every time he was on screen, I was just looking for him, like, this is going to be good. He just had the... He had the everything about him. Now, he didn't actually have a lot of progression. In reality, realistically, his progression was believing in Cap. First saying he's still scrawny, and then going, faith, huh? Like, being shown he can believe in something other than just, like, raw stuff. See, I'm going to go with Tommy Lee Jones, actually, on that. He gets my favourite mark.
I think for me it's Hayley Atwell. I think Agent Carter has a fantastic story in this.
Do you think that Agent Carter is part of or breaks the stereotype that women normally play in action films.
Oh, absolutely. But she was supposed to, as I said at the beginning of the film, she
Wait, do you think she makes or breaks?
breaks.
You think she breaks? Okay.
I think that, as I said at the beginning of the film, she wanted to play the character like Captain America, but female. And I think she did that. I think she was a strong woman in a male-dominated world.
Mm-hmm.
That
says schwa. Two of them. Brothers. Siblings, I should say.
Yeah, in a male-dominated world, she played that character well. The other character who I absolutely love is the scientist.
The friendly scientist.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I think both scientists, but the friendly scientist for sure.
I think. All right.
It is a shame that Hugo Weaving didn't come back to play his character.
I mean, what more could he have brought to the role? He had like 2 minutes of screen time.
I know.
Plus a meme, and he does this to the thing I cannot possess.
Yeah. But I do think that if you, and I have this feeling about the actors who want to leave. Again, I didn't play the character myself, but by leaving, you're kind of not doing it for the fans.
You can't live your life doing it for the fans. The fans are the icing on the cake, and the fans can keep you going in tough times, but when you find yourself doing your job for other people, you're in a bad position. Because take fans aside, imagine if someone said you can't leave your work, everyone here loves you, you're doing it for the fans. You can't, that's not how you can work. So I have respect for that. You can make people happy, and making people happy can feel great. But you have to have more choice in it yourself than that.
But by saying you're never ever going to play Captain America again, even cameos is what...
Oh, wait, who said he's not playing Captain America?
Chris Evans is, after Endgame, he has said that he is done.
Never. Oh, well, fair enough.
And even
I mean, that's not really a spoiler. That was already kind of a thing that we knew.
We don't know how he goes. We don't even know if he stays alive or not. But even Hugh Jackman as well.
I was about to say, yeah, but he said he doesn't want to play. But that's okay. I think that's alright. I think there's something to be said for leaving before it gets old. You want to get off the screen before people ask for you to be off the screen.
Fair enough.
Oh, we're getting to the things. Let's see if...
What's the bank called again?
Merrill Lynch.
No.
Well, it was just a loan, so they did just give the money.
Right, so we're coming to the end credit scene now. Which is interesting.
What was it? And so for the second time in 2 months we see the Avengers. I thought this one began in the other film. Nice.
Trouble sleeping?
Nick Fury likes his end credit scenes.
I am.
Trying to get me back in the world?
Trying to save it.
This is an end credit sequence?
You think you're the only hero in the world? Gentlemen, you're up.
Green screen.
Was that the end credit sequence?
Yeah, I don't like it.
No,
it's the
it
only.
sucks.
It's the only end credit sequence that does that.
Get that filth off my screen.
I don't like that. It should have been him waking up, and I think it was intended to be like that as well. It really angers me that we didn't get a really, really lovely bit of juicy end credit scene. And I think Marvel know that. I think Marvel have changed the way they do things, but that really bugs me. The only other time that happens similarly is at the end of is it the second? Is it Ant-Man and the Ant-Man? The end of the original Ant-Man film, where they have Bucky in a grip just before Civil War. That's a scene taken directly out of Civil War.
Yes.
But other than that,
look, end credit sequences have a very clear role in the Marvel world. In general, they should provide. Well, forget in general. In Marvel and Superman, superheroes, they provide a tantalizing grip into some other part of the world that we would not otherwise see. And there, you get to see Rogers trying to come back into real life. If it were me, I would have taken that scene, extended it by another 20 seconds, and throw a hint in somewhere. I'm not sure what the hint would be. It wouldn't be Bucky. You don't want to throw that in too soon. You don't want... It might have been... maybe Stark appears. Maybe Stark appears for 20 seconds, and they have some kind of thing of, I knew your dad, and Stark throws some kind of quip back. That's how I would have done it.
See, the thing you have to remember, there's two things you have to remember. Number one, this is the first time that anything had ever happened like this before. This is the first time you've got all these characters coming together for the first time ever.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
So I think that's the thing. The other thing is that there had been no trailer for the Avengers until then. This has been that was the first trailer for the Avengers.
Oh, and okay, fine, I'll grant them that. What were we talking about before? Films and opinions on the film.
Yeah, we were looking at characters and if we felt that characters had met the...
So I think you're actually right about... What's her name again?
Peggy Carter.
Haley Atwell. I think you're right. Because just as we see Cap mourning over the loss of a dear friend, she was mourning over the loss of Cap. She had her tough scene, she had her sensitive scene, she had her annoyed scenes. No, I think she did a pretty good job. And I think it was relatively fair.
Do you think Captain America was played correctly?
Now, I've got to be honest, it's very hard for me to be a fan of Cap, and you could throw this as, I'm a sci-fi fan. Actually, I remember I mentioned last episode that Guardians of the Galaxy got me into comics. Well, that summer I was reading comics pretty regularly, actually, on my phone, just looking... I remember in Los Angeles, sitting in a park, going through Captain America, Wolverine, Guardians of the Galaxy... I'm trying to think what else I managed to pick up in my time. And Cap was my least favourite comics. Just didn't gel with me. They weren't badly written, they weren't badly drawn, just didn't gel with me. So it's hard for me to say whether I think Cap was played correctly, because I'm not a fan of him. But I appreciate that he's played consistently. Cap is not a guy who obviously thrives on cognitive dissonance. He doesn't thrive on trying to juxtapose these two different things. I want to do this, but this. Tony Stark has that. Thor has that. Trying to think who else.
Romanoff. Doctor Strange.
Romanoff not... Oh, occasionally. Occasionally, yeah. Doctor Strange, kind of hard. But Captain, he's... Captain America is an arrow, and he knows exactly where he's pointing.
Straight shooting.
Yeah, he knows exactly where he's pointing. So to that extent, he was played consistently.
Good. I really want to know what you felt about that film. Felt about that film. Did you enjoy the film?
I would have to say it was, on second watching, it's about par, and just about par. The action sequences, like a lot of Marvel films, are fantastically done, and me as a fan of action, I loved it. I love that. Sorry. I also enjoyed just being able to pick apart history and just go, oh, this. Fine. But there was a lot of scenes of silence, and I'm sure if we listen back to this, we'll go, there's a lot of scenes where we're just sitting there and just... It's conversation, but it's not filmed intriguingly. It's dialogue, but there's not much else to it. Yeah, and it was the... Particularly, there's a thing that I remember from the first time I watched, which was the montage. The montage of Cap and the something, Howling Commandos? Howling Commandos as they're going through and smashing stuff up. I remember watching that the first time and going, man, that was a cool thing. Why is that? And that also made the trailers, quite a bit of it. Why was it so short? Why was all of that? Yeah, here's the thing. I'm in a good mood now. I'm in a good mood because I've had a fun time. But I don't think this was my favourite film. I think actually, come the end of this will be down towards the bottom.
Okay.
Where are you on this?
As I said at the beginning of the film, I really like the Captain America trilogy. As I said at the beginning of the film, I think this is the worst one. I think rewatching it has put me in that sense that it is not the best Captain America film out there.
And actually, I agree with you. But when I went to see the second, I was like, okay, well, it's probably going to be like the first. And I was like, whew, it ain't.
But I think I enjoyed this film more than a lot of other Marvel films.
Interesting.
I don't know if it'll be down the bottom. I don't even know if it'll be in the top 10.
Okay.
But it will be in the second. It will definitely be. I think it will probably be about 11 or 12 for me. Come the end of watching.
You enjoyed it more than a lot of others. Okay. I'm curious to see what they will end up being because. No, that's very interesting.
To be fair, a lot of the others that I didn't enjoy are not on the list that we are watching immediately.
Okay, I can imagine some of them that they would be. I'm guessing that right now, before rewatching, Iron Man 2 and 3 would be below Cap.
I think Iron Man 2 is about equal, in my opinion.
Okay.
Obviously, I've been saying it for a number of episodes now. I did not like The Incredible Hulk. I also think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is probably below this one as well. Maybe Spider-Man Homecoming is about equal.
Really? You didn't like that?
It's not I didn't like it, but it was very much a...
Okay.
Well, Spider-Man, and again, I'm sure we'll get there, but Spider-Man Homecoming to me felt like it was a friendly neighborhood film.
Okay. I mean, yeah, in terms of the villain for this film, because villains are what make the film tick, Hugo Weaving, I think, made the best of a bad case. I think he brought a lot of character to an otherwise pretty characterless guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think if other, dare I say, lesser actors had tried portraying it, it would have been, well, here's an evil German guy doing evil German guy stuff, because that's what they do. He brought something to the role, and I think he did a fantastic job at that, but I don't think he had a lot to work with.
But I have to say that the director chose the right villain. The screenwriter chose the right villain. Red Skull is Captain America's very much well-known adversary.
So he's playing to the fans.
He's playing to the fans. He's playing to the comic books. He's being true to the comic books, and has chosen the villain that best suits that.
Now, do you remember what I said last episode about lazy villains? When if you have the heroes opposite, just to make stuff easier. Red Skull is the anti-Captain America, but that was never played up. In fact, their fight together is not really actually special. It doesn't show off the fact that both of them have powers. The closest you get to seeing that Red Skull has superpowers is when he shoves a massive tombstone off in the first.
No, I think actually when he punches through Captain America's shield.
Okay, I'll give you that as a second. I wonder how they got the dents out of that.
They didn't, because he changed shields after that.
Wasn't that vibranium?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, well, fair enough. Yeah, no, you got me there. So, I think outside of that, they'd never... So even though Red Skull is actually, in theory, Captain America's equal and opposite, it doesn't come across as that. And I'm not sure whether that's intentional or accidental, so I won't really comment on it much more. So I think they did... So I think, yeah, they picked a good villain from the fans, and I think it was portrayed by the right guy. It just wasn't an exciting villain. He was a bad guy doing bad guy things, because Hitler had the right idea, but just was a little bit too... had a moustache a little bit too clipped.
Right, I think we've got to the point now where we have to put this in our rating.
We do. Okay, so this is where things get interesting.
So current standings of our rating at the moment.
Top of the tree, Iron Man. To the left of the tree, that is less than Iron Man, we have Thor.
Can we not use a tree? I don't like using a tree. I know you're computer scientists.
I mean, how do you want to think of it?
I do want to just do a numbered list.
All right.
Because I know your computer science brain, and I'm sure mine would too. Think of it as a complete binary tree.
Right.
However,
can we think of it
showing a binary tree on screen is not going to be the easiest thing for us to do.
Can we do a binary tree in the data structure of an array? It's a list. It's not a list. It could be a linked list. That's a list. Okay, fine.
Oh,
Iron Man number 1. Iron Man number 1. Thor number 2. Okay.
So we need to put this in a certain place here.
We do, and we have above Iron Man, between Iron Man and Thor, and below Thor. Is this above Iron Man?
So before going into this film today, I was considering it.
Okay.
Because I felt that I did enjoy this film, and I know that I enjoy the character, and I enjoy the story around it. I like the emotional side of the story. He is not as much as a superhero, because he has no powers, but he is just the physical embodiment of human greatness.
He's a super character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Watching the film for, I don't know how many times, again, yours is the second, I don't know how many times I've watched the film. I didn't enjoy it as much as I'll watch of Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's down to the fact that it was a period piece, and that's just not really my thing.
Okay.
But also, I think that the story was a little bit better. I don't think much better, but a little bit better in Iron Man. The villains and the characters were a little bit more fleshed out as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to place it personally.
Yeah.
If I had to vote, if I have to vote where this is going,
and you do,
because we have to decide together.
Yeah.
I would put it between Iron Man and Thor.
The only part of what you said that didn't sit with me, because I agree with that with pretty much everything else you said, was that I don't mind period pieces. I'm A-okay with them. I think where this film fell down is, unfortunately, in parts of its execution. Films make decisions. They make decisions to go down certain tracks to do certain things. And I think that when they rewrote the script for the umpteenth time and they pulled Cap and they gave him more opportunities to express himself, they did the right thing, but it came at an expense, and, well, it is what it is. It is not better than Iron Man. In my mind, at least, even thinking about it, it was never going to be above Iron Man 1. That film is top-notch. Was this film... Where does this film sit in relation to Thor? Now, this is a tough one, because Thor has actually grown on me a little.
Explain what you mean by that.
As long as I forget the Earth scenes in Thor, I think it's a pretty good film.
Yeah, but you have to... Okay, so I know there's this section of the podcast further on was going to be a lot more voting and arguing over the films. But I can tell you now that the Earth scenes, there's a lot of Thor.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of scenes in this that, yes, they drag on, but not as much as Thor did.
So, okay. I've come to my decision. And it's going to be... There's a nice phrase that's thrown around occasionally, like, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Usually said by... the counter to that phrase is, well, the problem is your worst is pretty bad, your best is just about okay. Unfortunately for me, Captain America's worst is pretty bad, and its best is just about okay. Whereas Thor, its worst was pretty bad, but its best was good. I think Thor at its best... I went back and after the podcast, I watched that scene of Loki and I was like, wow. I'm actually going to have to put Thor above Captain America.
So are we going to have two separate lists here?
Well, we can't have two separate lists. We have to decide. You put it above, I put it below. Give me three... Can we come up with 3 reasons per each why ours is the way it is?
Okay.
And one of us is going to have to be wrong. No, sorry. One of us is going to have to reconsider. It's not wrong, it's not right. It's one for the sake of having a list, one of us is going to have to reconsider.
Okay. So I'm going to go with the start of mine being the first reason for me is the story. I think the story is much, much stronger in this film.
I would agree with that.
I think the characters portrayed in this film are stronger. I think there are more characters that actually mean something in this film, that actually have character in this film, and there is much more. There is more development across more characters. I do agree that Thor has character development specifically for Thor, specifically.
And the other.
And
Loki.
No, because we said Loki is actually
it is still the viewer.
It's the viewer learning, but it's not really the character.
I count that.
Okay, I agree with you.
I actually agree with everything you're saying. You're right. Thor's character development, characters you care about in Thor, it's Thor, Loki, and Odin. You don't care about the mum, and who are the other people again?
Yeah, exactly.
Shurf and Blurf.
Hell, Marvel even agree with us.
And Marvel was like, kill off these characters that you don't.
But even the scientists on Darcy and Natalie Portman's character Jane, they're gone.
Yeah, that wasn't because they're gone because they were part of a different world.
Because they were just
and I agree with you actually. The characters in Captain America you do like more and you do get along more with. Okay.
And I think the story is stronger.
All right, I will hand that one to Joel. I agree with that. What I think Thor did better than Captain America, emotional power. I don't think that the few wet eyes that you see in Captain America quite match up to Loki's raw emotion at discovering that he had been taken as a negotiating piece and that his life brought up to then had been lie. I don't think that quite matches the emotional power of Thor when he tries to grab his hammer and realizes that he is not worthy and that he does not know who. For the first time, he has no idea who he is. I don't think it matches up to the emotional power of Idris Elba. Though he had a very small role in the film, he made his mark in that film of sort of loyalty and honor. I think that Thor had a deeper emotional impact than Captain America.
I agree. I do agree with you. But I don't think that alone can push the film higher. I feel that the film as a whole. Again, we're not looking at bits of a film.
Okay,
we're looking at the film overall, and I think overall, I think Captain America just shows the themes overall. It has the characters across the entire film.
Let's look at it negatively. What is the worst part? What's the worst of Thor?
The Earth scenes. I think that they drag on.
Find me a scene. What's the
scene where basically any scene that Thor is with Jane on Earth.
That's a fair one, actually.
It is just boring. The only scene that makes it interesting is about Yggdrasil, and the only reason that's interesting is because it explains the bigger Marvel universe.
I think that's fair. For me,
what about the worst of Captain America?
The worst of Captain America for me, was, and it's kind of disappointing to say it was the World Fair scene. I know that it's so central to his character. I know that there's a lot of hidden relevance of him standing on the plate and he's too short, and the guy talking to him and like, oh, will you dance? Won't you dance? Will you have my popcorn? Sorry, I don't want your popcorn. You're not attractive to me. But it was not engaging for me. For me, the core of it, getting across that core of his character, didn't really feel it. Also, the other thing that I wasn't happy with, Bucky felt cold towards him. I don't feel... They're meant to be great friends. Bucky did not feel like a great friend in that thing. Bucky felt like a disappointed older brother. Like, God, I'm having to pick up after you again. Please, will you learn? That I would have liked to see done a little more friendly.
Yeah. So we need to make a decision.
Favourite quotation?
Favourite quotation from which film?
Thor. Captain America Thor, respectively.
So, my favourite quotation from this film... I think the use of "I could do this all day."
I think that's a very strong.
And I think the fact that it's at the beginning of this film, but even further than that, pushing further into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how it's used as well.
I could do this all day.
It's just.
When does he say it in Infinity War? Does he? I don't think he does. In Infinity War, he's the guy that says, "I know a guy." Oh man, this is hard to actually. I shouldn't have said this one without knowing it in the past. I was tempted to go another. But inevitably...
Smash!
I can't actually think of one. I've got the fun scenes in my head, but I can't think of a great quotation from it.
I think the last thing we should talk about is the action. Because these are action.
Well, I was going to shake your hand right there and then.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, because I can't think. Actually, I should have. It's a perfectly good thing to think. Damn, I'm good. After this, I'm going to find my quotation. Okay. But you know what? I'll hand this to you.
I still think we should talk about the action scenes.
We're welcome to talk about the action.
I think both. I think the Asgard action is very good. I think the mysticism of Thor. Actually, I really like the action scenes in Thor.
Yeah, when there were action, I think Thor had it plenty, and I think Thor made a very good use of creativity in it.
However,
okay, there's a however.
I felt that the last battle dragged on so long.
What,
it was
between the
the Destroyer,
versus
then
the
it was
Claw?
then it went to the stuff in Asgard, more Asgard. It just dragged on a little bit.
No, I'd agree. Also, that last action scene was, outside of Thor getting his hammer back, was actually very uninspiring. Because what Thor and Loki did with each other, they whacked each other with stars a bit. The first action scene where Thor invades Jotunheim, for me, like, the epitome of Marvel doing the smart thing, Thor takes his hammer, swirls it, and showers everyone with ice things. That is out-the-box cool thinking.
Yeah.
Whereas Cap... So, arguably you could say Cap is a bit like one-dimensional. He throws his shield around. But nonetheless, they find different ways of doing it.
You know, so directors of Winter Soldier say that, and that's why he does a lot of kicking
And
in Winter
that's
Soldier.
perfect. Because that gives you different things. That gives you more ways to explore how the character does things. Because you're right, yeah, if all he did was bounce stuff around, but in Winter Soldier, at the start of it, you see him making different kinds of wall shots, different kinds of things. Who does action better? So it's very hard to make shooting exciting. Action films struggle with this all the time. I don't think they made shooting exciting. And I think they just had to gloss over the fact that one of them clearly has world-ending weapons, but bullets are still effective. So kind of we'll think about it later. Yeah, I would probably have to say that Thor has singular action moments that are superior, but Captain America's action in general is better.
So are we? I think we've got.
I think we're at a conclusion. I will agree to reconsider my vote and say that Thor will come below Captain America.
It's okay.
We've come to a reasoned decision.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this further down the line because we'll just have too many films on this. We might have to have two separate lists. No?
One and one only.
We could be here for hours discussing this.
We'll be alright.
Okay.
I think we'll be alright.
Maybe we need to come up with some criteria.
What questions to ask to determine films?
To determine films.
Maybe a list of them, and we'll each pick. We'll go left to right, and we'll just pick one of the ones we want to talk.
Maybe we need
on.
to. I think we know the whole point of this podcast was to talk about the Marvel universe as a whole and themes running throughout it and the way that it's made. And I think that's one of the things is that we should be rating these films based on a certain criteria.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done that. We just need to formalize it. And this is actually thank you for reminding me something I was thinking yesterday. We are watching individual films, but we cannot stop talking about every other film. That is part of what makes us so excited to do these, because we are not watching individual films. And as I mentioned to Joel after the podcast has stopped rolling before, like, you couldn't say the same for the DC universe. The DC universe are individual films that happen to have characters that seem to see each other occasionally. You can't talk about Iron Man without talking about the Avengers. You can't talk about the Avengers without talking about the Tesseract, about Thanos, about Ant-Man when it comes down to it. We should have seen Hank Pym there. Hank Pym's dad in there. No, just Hank Pym.
Hank Pym.
We should have seen him in
but
there.
I don't think he comes in until later.
You're right. That would have been cool though. Yeah. That would have been a nice one. Hey Hank, what are you doing here? And I think, yeah, that's one of the things that is really damn cool. We can't talk about any given film without referring to the rest of them. Marvel have built a universe.
They have, and hopefully they are the only ones who...
Oh, no, I would love to see others try. But I need to see them try first.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you think there'll ever be a successful universe?
Well, we'll have to define criteria of success. Is it financial? Is it emotional? Is it long-lasting? But certainly, I can't think of anyone else that has had the ambition or scope to transfer comics to films and successfully. Because certainly comics to films have happened, not comic universes.
And with that, I think we end the podcast. This one.
You've been listening to Joshua
and Joel on the Marvel Method. Damn, episode 3.
On to the next one. We'll have to get a date in.
We're about to play the Start Spangled Man, aren't we?
We'll have to.
Yeah.
See you at the next one, folks. press the play button.
Oops.
I did it again.
Wah, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, baby, baby.